everybody. Welcome back. I don't know why I said it like a teacher that's like welcoming her class back from lunch. No. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Passions Podcast, the podcast where we talk about the soap opera Passions. I am your regular host, LeTara, back again with one of our favorites, a fan favorite, Dr. Eric Vera.
Hello, hello. It is always so good to be here. And I feel like we're going to have a really fun episode where I'm just going to go to town and tell everybody how I feel about the citizens of Harmony because they're all pissing me off right now. For some reason, almost everybody's upset me this week. So, yeah.
Honestly, yeah, everybody accepting K of all people. I'm like,
Which
K
is
is
funny.
like, oh,
Yeah, I had that written down. I'm like, is she the problem? I don't find her the problem right now.
she's so not the problem. She's so not the problem. I am so looking for, and you know what? Today, as a special treat to everybody, we are starting with magic because I, I have some choice words for Miguel. Piece of shit. I can't
Yeah.
stand him. Ugh. And
Very
just,
upset.
and I believe everybody will agree with me when we get there. I think everybody. Well, we're not. It won't take us long to get there, so I think y'all will all agree with me. So let's jump right in. Oh, but before we do, let's say thank you to all the patrons over on Patreon. See, I can remember things. My brain works sometimes. Thank you to Munashe, Marcus, Brelin, Lisa, our Lisa here in the US, Sid, Sarana, Randall, Hannah, Camelia, Monique, Samantha, Jeanette, Eric, Fantasia, Sean, S, Larissa, Maria, George Lopez Fitzgerald, our Lisa across the pond, Jessica Jean, Laura, who is one of our newest patrons this month, and Thomas, our very most newest patron. Thank you, thank you, thank you all so much for becoming patrons. Again, it's truly the only reason I'm still doing this show.
Welcome to the new people and to all the people who have been there. I mean, hey, listen, we still have fun on Halloween. You were decked out like the one, the only, the legend, the moment, Miss Tabitha Lennox.
And
And
I've
you
got my Timmy doll right here.
Timmy. So your
I
new
feel bad because I sat on him the other day, so he's a little.
he's put up through with a lot, so I'm sure that he can handle that. I mean,
He's seen better days.
yeah, throws him on, runs him around. He's fine.
Yeah, that's my Timmy doll from Halloween. Actually, like a lot of my Halloween stuff is sitting right here. Like sat here and took all of that jewelry off. I had so much stuff on, so
And we
we had a
had
good
people dressed
time.
up.
Yeah,
They looked great.
we had Gwen and Teresa, which was
Yeah.
awesome. But we had a wonderful time. We played trivia. We did Guess Who. I got drunk.
You were hitting those martinis,
Yeah, I was
the
hitting my
appropriate wine
martinis.
glass, martini glass.
Yeah, I was hitting my martinis pretty hard. So yeah, that's some of the fun you can have if you join the Patreon. I will say with the holidays coming up, there's gonna be fewer events through November and December, but we'll be back at full throttle back in January. So come on, join the Patreon. Cause again, I might quit doing this show. I want to make that very clear. I am exhausted right now
Yeah.
because I've just started doing a lot of I went from doing nothing to now I'm doing like a million things. And I'm not going to quit anytime soon. If I do, I'll give y'all a clear heads up that like the show's coming to an end. But there are days where I'm like, ugh, is this something I want to keep doing? Because I'm
Yeah.
tired. So
Yeah.
join the Patreon because it keeps me motivated.
Look,
All
with two
right.
new people, they're demanding some supply.
Yeah. So yeah, check out whatever tier you find most agreeable and uh join us for some fun. We do have a lot of fun on that. I do, and that's one of the reasons I still do the show because it's because I really enjoy the part where we all get together and talk about the
Yeah.
show, not just me talking to one person for the podcast, but we get together and like discuss all kinds of things, and it's a lot of fun. All right, so with that said, we're gonna get into the fun of the week. We watched episodes 556 through 560. Yes.
That's correct.
All right, fabulous. So we're gonna pick up with Magic, where Miguel, of course, is screaming, "Charity! Charity!" that is almost the totality of this
Yeah.
child's fucking lines throughout the entire week, or actually throughout the run of this show.
Yeah.
Charity, learn some new words, Miguel. Learn
Yeah.
some new words. But he does learn some words. He says some real fucked up words later.
Yeah.
So anyway, Miguel's running around these caves, screaming for Charity. The kids are searching for her behind him, and Kay at one point. There's a lot of moments this week where Kay and Simone are having their own little conversation, right? And it's always that Simone says, like, "You're horrible, Kay. You're the devil. This is all your fault. If Charity dies, it's your fault." And Kay says, "It's not nothing. None of this is my fault. I didn't make her walk off." And Simone's like, "Well, you were supposed to be watching her. Like, but I'm a child, and children
Yeah.
shouldn't be watching children."
No, and look, listen, Charity is not an idiot. She acts like one, but she's not one. And so I don't understand how this gets laid at Kay's doorstep. I understand that maybe she could put in more effort to stop Charity from going wherever she's going. But what is it any of her business to be having to do that in the first place? She is like goal focused. She wants Miguel. If her cousin's gonna wander off, she's gonna wander off. They are not 8 years old. They're in their teens. They're not
Y-
stupid, And the Simone and blaming it on her, it gets redundant and repeated throughout the whole week.
It
I like
gets
Simone,
very
but
old. It gets very old. I like Simone, but I don't like this version of Simone because she also brings up the fact that Kay poured the water on the pyre. It's your fault we're stuck on the island. I mean, which is somewhat of a fair point, but I will
yes,
also continue to point out to the day I die that Simone didn't say anything to stop her. And she didn't tell
yeah,
the other kids what was going on. Like,
yeah.
she didn't do anything to try to stop it. So, what's that quote? Is like, there's two types of evil people in the world: people who do evil things and people who see evil things happening but say nothing.
And she doesn't do anything.
And she doesn't do anything. So, she
Like, if you
should.
were really that concerned about Charity, don't you just already go and tell everybody? Shit, just go tell Jessica. I mean, like, tell somebody, because Jessica's always gonna take your side versus Kay's. Like, go do something about it. But I think she just knows. You know what? In my just kind of understanding of the series, she knows it's better to have Kay as an ally than an enemy, and I think that they are truly friends. I do think that they are friends, but she knows if there's ever issues with Chad, Kay is going to be the one that'll step up and help her.
Yeah, that I agree.
I don't know if that's in her back pocket. I like to think that that's I'm giving them a lot more
Giving a
credit than
little
I think
credit. Yeah.
than the writers are giving them.
I think for me too, it's like, I think that Simone, I think the reason why I'm so irritated with Simone is because she is like blaming all of this on Kay. It's your
Yeah,
fault. You're so evil. And I mean, she calls her evil multiple times.
yeah,
And it's like, you're the one who's best friends with her. Birds of a feather.
yeah,
Hello?
yeah,
Like, your best friend, you call this lady your best friend, and you have to share some responsibility in this.
yeah.
You have to share some responsibility in this. But whatever. I said all that to say, they do this for the entire week, and multiple times Kay drops gems. This first one is like, she says, she's like, "You know what?" Kay gets this feeling of like lightness at one point. She's like, "You know what? It doesn't matter if we find Charity or not. I have this feeling that Miguel's gonna be mine no matter what." It's like, okay.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
Manifest.
Yeah, she
Manifest,
really.
queen.
That's why it's like hard to be upset with her because she really isn't doing anything. I mean, you can be mad at her for not doing anything, but
That's
she's just
exactly.
like she basically has made a pact for a while. Yeah, she'll help here and there, but she's just kind of like letting Warlock Island do its thing and hopefully kill her cousin. And
Yeah.
again, saying it out loud, I know it's like, well, she's not doing anything to stop it, but Charity's going off on her own and doing her own. Like, I don't know. It's
Possibly do. Sure.
yeah,
Charity walked off. She did sort of manipulate that situation
yeah,
when she pulled Reese away and, like, pretended like she was into him for a little bit so that Charity could walk off. Yes. She did create the situation. I love how we are making everything
we are
epic.
totally, yeah, we are really justifying
No, she
her
did kind of
action.
create the situation. But
I
Charity,
think,
but she also is literally doing nothing. Not
yeah,
only that, she is walking around trying to help y'all find her, kinda. You know,
yeah,
she's with y'all. So anyway, let's move on. So let's zoom over to what's going on with Charity. Charity is with the Warlocks
yeah,
somewhere in these caves. And the Warlocks say that the only way to change the future, because they've shown Charity this future of Miguel making love to Kay, that the two of them have gotten married. They say the only way to change this future is to destroy Tabitha and help free us, the Warlocks. Charity doesn't want to do it. To her credit, she says Tabitha's just a sweet old lady, and they tell her no, Tabitha's a witch, and she's like, no, I'm Tabitha's just a sweet old lady. How
and
can
they
I
show
destroy her?
her, yeah, they show her like archival footage of Tabitha like back in the day, like.
Yeah, they show her some stuff, but she doesn't really believe it.
Yeah,
Then
but
they
also, how are
show
you going to get Charity to kill somebody? Like,
well, and that's my thing with these warlocks. They're telling her to destroy Tabitha, but giving her no instructions otherwise.
yeah,
It
like,
doesn't make any sense. Also, I thought that they didn't have any power. They seem awfully powerful to me.
yeah, from what, yeah, for them making physical manifestations of themselves to like showing her clips from past episodes, like, and she also sees the what happened to Sheridan and Luis. She sees the boat explosion, so she's like, okay, so that already happened, and now I'm showing you what can happen, and she starts to scream loudly, "Please don't make love to Kay," which
Oh
is
my
heard
god.
throughout the caves.
Yeah, she's screaming. So they show her, they say, well, here's what she wants to see her future, right? We talked about this last week. So they show her her future, and she's like, no, this couldn't possibly be real. Like,
Yeah.
Miguel loves me, not Kay. And then, yeah, she starts to scream, no, Miguel, please, Miguel, don't make love to Kay. Don't make love to Kay. And so then that echoes throughout the caves, like you said. And Miguel and the kids hear it, and Miguel stops in his tracks. He turns around and says to Kay, he says, Kay, that was Charity screaming about me making love to you. Why would she be? She must be having a vision about it. Why would she be having a vision about that? How the fuck should she know? How the fuck should Kay know?
Exactly.
And he was so
Exactly.
accusatory. The way he was so accusatory, as if Kay had done something to make her
Yeah.
have these visions or something. It just
Oh,
and
it upset me
get
too.
this This is not even the worst thing he does
Oh
this week.
no, because then the whole party whips around and looks at Kay like, "What did you do to her?" When I'm like, "Do y'all know she wandered off? Whatever the fuck she's talking about has nothing to do with what Kay is doing right now." Even Kay, as the actress, what a fantastic job. She looks dumbfounded, like, What? What do you want me to say? What do you want me to do about her? We don't even know where she's at.
She's I mean, Kay doesn't say this out loud to them, but like she was like the girl's wackadoodle. I don't know why she's having these who knows why Charity sees what Charity sees.
Yeah.
Nobody does. It's so anyway, yes, but then Miguel kind of comes to his senses and is like, of course you don't know why she's having these visions. Like, yeah, no, of course I so why did we even do this? You're wasting time. Um so back where Charity is, she decides to help the Warlocks. She
Yeah.
says,
I
okay, I'll
I'm
do it.
shocked she agrees to help the Warlocks, meaning she has signed Ursula's contract pack saying, "I'm gonna go kill Tabitha."
Because at the end of the day, as much as Charity likes to act so holier than thou and above it all, she's no different than the rest of these girls on this show who are trying to get their man and keep their man. And she literally says to them, "I don't want to lose Miguel. I will help you. You will murder what who you believe to be an innocent old lady to stay with Miguel."
To me,
Okay.
I think that should warrant enough for Tabitha to get some of her powers back. For Charity to go to the dark side even just slightly when she is always so pure and innocent, like shouldn't Tabitha get a little something, like a little bit of juice back? Like I don't know how this works. Again, we're always trying to figure out what the magic rules are. But I know if Charity dies, Tabitha comes into her full powers again. But come on, she's doing bad shit. I mean, like that's little angel girl ain't over here helping. You know,
Yeah.
yeah. So anyway,
Yeah. So the Warlocks, then show Charity, that there's couples who are fated to be together or who are fated to never to be together. And that's Sheridan and Louise and Ethan and Theresa, basically. And
Yeah.
kind of show what's going on with them. And at one point, they show, oh my God, they show a vision of Theresa in bed with Julian, and we will
Yeah.
get there because we have yet another scene of Theresa in bed with Julian. But they show a vision of Theresa in bed with Julian, and Charity's like, Theresa would never do that. She would like, she loves Ethan, but on top of that, she simply would never sleep with Mr. Crane. That's what she says. And the warlocks say to her that she thinks that they say Theresa doesn't know where she is, and when Julian touches her, she thinks it's Ethan. And Charity says, if that's true, then there's no hope for her. No hope for her. What about the fact that this man, like, say something about Julian and
Yeah.
him being a villain? But
Yeah.
whatever. There's no hope for Theresa. She's a fallen woman, according to the writers of Passions.
Yeah.
That really irritated me, and,
It-
and there's more to come.
Oh, I know. We're not even we're just at the peak of the iceberg. We haven't gone down into the depths.
So, and here we go to the depths because the kids are searching for Charity in these caves, and they come to a spot where the ground has given way, and they call it an abyss. It is an abyss. They can't even see the bottom of it. It goes down so deep. And then, like, well, we have to find a way across. We have to find a way across. Now, remember, they are deep, deep in some caves. They find a log, a tree, a fallen tree inside the cave.
Yeah, I wrote it looked like a log. Yeah.
It was a log. It was 100%. They say it. I rewound to make sure that they said that it was a log. Miguel's like, oh, there's a log over there. Why is there a log? How did a log get here? And for what purpose? Like, who brought this? I mean, they're deep into the caves.
Yeah.
How did it get here? A tree didn't grow and fall inside.
Yeah. Yeah.
That doesn't matter.
What makes me laugh about all this is prior to all of this, at some point Miguel's like, we need to go find Charity, blah 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 blah. And Kay is in some ways like, she's a lost cause. Like, why are we gonna do this? But she basically tells Miguel, hey, honestly, we haven't had the greatest track records with like caves and taverns and weird shit. So like, why are we gonna do this again? And that just was a good callback. And like, yeah, here we are in another fucking cave.
Yeah. Here we are again with Charity missing in a cave.
Yep.
Remember what happened the last time we did this bullshit?
Yep.
I'm with Kay. I am with Kay. I am with Kay all the way. I need a shirt that says I'm with Kay all the way.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's not true though, because I'm not with Kay all the way, all the time. Not all the time, but right now I am. So
that made me laugh. But yes, apparently Ross finds something on the internet.
Which
Again,
begs the question,
Yep.
they had said that they had no communication, that they didn't have any kind of
cell phone's not working.
Nothing's working, but his Palm Pilot is working. He can get on the internet.
I wrote
inside of the caves.
I wrote, it's 2001. You know damn well if the cell phone ain't working, your little Palm Pilot's not working either. I'm sorry.
But if the Palm Pilot is working, why aren't you calling for help?
Hey, if in 1996, if Sydney Prescott was able to text 911 on her computer, help me, she should be able to find a way to get.
What's that, Scream?
Yeah. Uh-huh. Yes. There we go. Yeah, I should say the whole reference, but
no, I figured it out.
It makes me laugh that somehow he manages to find that only those pure of heart can cross the log.
Yeah. And it says that if you're not, you won't make it. Though it says, but those who lack purity will not make it. So then everyone decides to cross the log. Everybody's like, I'll go. Simone kind of nudges Kay, who's kind of like, looking like,
yeah. I don't blame her.
Kay's like, okay, I'll go. Yeah, fuck that.
I would have said, you know what? Let me stay on this side because, like, what if I need to go get help and you all, like, some of us need to split up, gang. Sorry, let's Scooby-Doo this shit, and some of us should not be all going over there.
Well, I'll keep searching for Charity over here. Y'all go on over there. I'll keep searching for her in these areas. I'll go. Yeah. Don't worry, But they all decide to cross the log. Everybody, of course, makes it across safely. Kay gets her wobbly ass up there and immediately falls.
She falls, yeah.
And because we are in a moral gray area with Kay at the moment.
They spend so much time trying to find her, they cannot see into the abyss. They finally realize that she has her hands holding on to like an edge of the cliff or the edge of a rock,
Yeah.
and she's able to hold on. To which Ross says, "Even the internet can't help us now." Um,
Yeah, it's all so absurd. Kay
I know.
falls. I remember when I was watching it, Kay fell, and I was like, "Oh shit!" I knew she was gonna
Yeah,
fall, but I was just like, oh, "Okay, Kay's falling."
yeah.
She falls down, and she manages to catch on to a lower ledge. Right now, this is
Let's go.
where things get
Yep.
so
Let's
fucked
get. Yep.
up.
Let's go there because I have it written down. Also, I'm really upset.
So immediately, Kay is literally hanging on for her dear life. She's
Immediate danger.
scared,
Immediate
immediate
danger.
danger. And the very first thing Miguel says, I mean, the first thing
First,
out
it
of
was the
his
first
mouth
thing.
is Charity's in danger. Motherfucker, Kay is in danger, and we can see that shit. And good on Jessica. Jessica said,
Jessica,
Miguel.
good
Jessica
sister.
says that may be well and true, but so is Kay. I'm not gonna leave my sister here.
Yeah.
Miguel is waffling on what to do. I was blown away by this.
Oh, I
And
was
I
so
was
mad.
what sickens me too is this idea that Miguel is the only one who can ever save anybody. Like,
Yeah.
why is it always incumbent upon him to do the save? Like, let him go
Yeah.
by himself to find Charity. And
Yeah.
the three of y'all send Reese down there
Yeah.
together.
And,
Shit.
and to his credit, Ross does say, "I will go and try and help Kay." But what upsets me about this, just to reiterate, Charity's off hearing. I mean, Charity's off having premonitions. We have already heard she's fine. She might be going crazy. But we have audibly heard she is okay. That idiot ass does not need saving right now. Like,
Yeah.
she is out there walking around. We know she's okay. Kay is about to die. Like,
And
she's got little three fingers. If Tweety Bird comes across it, she's gonna pick them off one at a time, and it's over. She's done.
and
She's dead.
it's over. Then y'all listen to what this idiot says. He says, well, I want to save Kay, but we can't save her and Charity at the same time. Jessica says, I'm not leaving my sister. And then I was like, why doesn't Miguel just go by himself to Charity?
Yeah,
And the rest of the kids just try and help Kay. But also, nobody's saying you have to save them at the same time. One is in immediate danger, and one is like doing the thing she always fucking does, which is
yes,
wander off and yell about doom and danger. Like, you've seen this from Charity. You know she's probably fine,
yeah,
like as fine as Charity can be, without some inpatient care. But
yeah,
I just so this really, really, really pissed me off. Like Miguel, I was sick. I was sickened by the way Miguel was acting, as if, and I mean, he's standing there frozen, like he doesn't know what to do.
yeah.
Jump into action. That's your
No,
best friend. You've known
yeah.
Kay since y'all were babies.
This is
Like,
very out of character, honestly, for him.
and
Like,
I know and understand that you love Charity, but you just met that girl and she's crazy as hell.
yeah,
Like, I know you love her. I get that. I get it. But this was disgusting, ridiculous, and I agree, out of character for Miguel, kind of. But Miguel is
yeah,
so wrapped up in, it's kind of out of character,
yes,
but also Miguel is extremely wrapped up in Charity
yeah.
all the time. So it
And
also makes sense.
But it is absolutely frustrating because you at least have heard her. She's fine. We just heard her scream out weird shit. At least she's screaming out weird shit. She's not saying, "Oh no, I'm dying. Oh no, someone's killing me." She's off having audible premonitions. We're
Mhm.
hearing the
Not
premonitions
only
are.
that, not only that, you don't know where the fuck she is. So even
Yes.
if she is in mortal danger, you don't know where she is. You know where Kay is. She's right
Yes.
there. It's just like, it's ridiculous. It's absurd to me. And so the kids then and this bothered me about the kids. The rest of them look to Miguel to be their leader, like,
Yeah.
and they're pleading with him, please, Miguel, help
Yeah.
us save Kay, please. And which they shouldn't have to beg you
No. Yeah.
to
And
help your quote best friend.
yeah,
And
he
then he agrees,
begrudgingly,
but get
begrudgingly
this.
agreed.
Yeah, get what he says. This piece of shit says, he says, "Okay, Kay, we're gonna try and get you out of there. But if we can't get you out of there, fast enough, we're gonna have to go find Charity, and we'll come back for you. Come back for her. Come back for her. If it takes too long, we'll have to leave and come back later." The fuck? She's hanging on by the tensile strength of her fingertips. But you think she has enough time and can hang on there for as long as it takes you to go find Charity's bitch ass who's the reason she's wandered off? Like, I'm sorry. I would be so mad at Charity if
Yeah.
I was anybody else in this group.
Yeah.
I'm not even gonna lie to you. I'm gonna be real straight up with y'all. Ain't no way they would have gotten me that far into those caves.
No.
Once we got to that abyss area and had to cross, there's no fucking way. There's simply no way I would have done it. I simply would not. And I guarantee you I would have been in tears because I would have been so mad that Charity walked the fuck off, and I would have been pissed. I would be calling her every bitch in the book. I would be like, she's going to have to wait until the people come to rescue us. Shit, we're in danger. We're in danger. And we're in
Yeah.
danger because of her. There's no way. At 14, 15, 16, 17, 20, 23, 40, 50, there's no way you get me that far into those caves. Not a chance. Not a chance.
Oh my God, this is so. You know what? I need you to do those TikToks where they have clips like this, put it on the on the green screen, and you're just like, yeah, nah, I'm gonna wait over here, and I'm good. Just, I'm right here. Y'all, let me know. Holler if you need me. Like, just I'm gonna sit right here. Hey, where's Tabitha? We should probably go look for her
We
too.
should probably. Norma's missing. Well, yeah, like everybody.
So yeah,
Shit,
no,
a lot
it
of
was,
people are missing, not just Charity. So I'm gonna
yeah,
find our
for
other
real.
missing characters. No, when I
It
say I
was
would have been
very
in
frustrating.
tears, I would
Yeah,
have been so mad at
yeah,
Charity. I would have been.
yeah.
I also would have been like, why did we bring her? She ruins every
She
trip.
is. She's the Debbie Downer. She is
She
the Debbie
ruins
Downer.
every trip. God damn it. Why
You
would
can't
ever
stop
bring her
Debbie
anywhere?
Downer.
Meow.
You know the number one killer of domestic cats is feline AIDS. Meow meow. That's Charity.
That is, oh, she sucks. Oh, she sucks. Okay. So, yeah, Miguel is like, okay, Kay, we're gonna try and get you out of there, but if it takes too long, we're gonna have to go and find Charity and come back. Reese looks up at him and he's like, I don't think she'll be here when we come back. Like, if we leave,
Yeah.
she's not gonna make it. He, sorry, my notes, I
Breath.
was like typing furiously.
Yeah.
I was like, you already know where Kay is. Charity is quite literally lost. The fact that it's even a question as to if they will try to save Kay, who is in very real mortal danger, makes me sick. I hate capital letters. I hate Miguel, and he deserves every bad thing that happens to him. Kay deserves better. And
Yeah.
that's what I wrote in my notes. And then I was talking to my niece about this earlier because she was asking me what's going on in Passions. And I said, Kay deserves better, and Miguel deserves absolute dust.
Yeah.
And she was like, well, what does Charity deserve? And I said, you know what Charity deserves? Therapy.
Yeah.
Charity deserves inpatient care.
Yeah.
Charity deserves, she deserves better than Miguel. I will say that at least.
Yeah.
But she deserves some psychological care. She
Yeah.
really does. She's being very much neglected. Her mental health.
Yeah.
Mm.
Well,
Okay, so at this point, Reese then tells the kids yet another legend about other kids who had wandered into this cave that he's found on his Palm Pilot. Like, why are you Googling legends right now? I don't understand. But that
text
these kids
home,
came into these
call
caves
home,
and they disappeared and
send
never.
an email.
Yeah, do something.
Yeah, because apparently, if you can get a website to load, you can send an email, even in 2001. Sorry, because that's the way the internet worked. So
I mean,
weird.
we've already seen an email plot, right? We know that they have
Yeah.
email in this world and know how to use it.
Yeah,
So
send an email to a tabloid. I promise you, they will read it.
they'll find you. They will find you.
Harmony Gazette or whatever.
Your children lost in caves. That's a great story. But yeah, so eventually, I mean, this takes them forever to get it together,
Yes.
but eventually Miguel ties a rope around his waist, and like they lower him down, and he
Yeah.
gets Kay and pulls her back up out, which at one point Reese was the one that said, "I'll go down and get her," which I think you already
Yes, he
mentioned. But he
did
said,
say
he'll
it.
go
So
down,
I take to his
and
credit.
Miguel like shoos him
Begrudgingly.
off
Yeah.
as if like Reese is useless and could never. And I don't know. I don't love the way that Miguel treats anybody in
Yeah.
this show. Even Charity. I don't love the way he treats Charity.
Yeah.
I don't like him. I think he's a bad guy. I think he's one of those guys who calls himself a nice guy, a nice guy,
But
but
he
he's
still
not a
has that
good.
machismo in him. He's got that machismo in him that he's like, I have to do this. I have to save. It's a very honestly, it's a very male Lopez Fitzgerald thing to do. I mean, he's always like that. Whereas, no, I'm not comparing his behavior to Luis. But Luis has his own issues too, and we'll talk about them in just a little bit.
We will, but I will say Luis would have never, like,
For
If
seconds.
Sheridan is somewhere in danger, but she's lost, and one of the people who's
Like
trying to help him,
say
s-
Whitney's dying, he would help
yeah,
Whitney immediately
immediately, without a
first,
second
then
thought,
go get yeah.
without a second thought, it like. Yeah, Miguel is disgusting. So
Yeah.
anyway, he goes down, he grabs Kay. He pulls her
He's
back up.
safe.
She's very grateful. She hugs him, tells him he saved her life. She's very shaken, and she tells him, "I want to go home, Miguel." Yes, yes, yes,
Which is the correct
100%.
mode of thinking. Again, poor Ross. I will say he's like he's seeing them embrace, and he says something along the lines of, "Well, I hear that when people go through really hard times, they are going to be very appreciative to the rescuer." But I'm like, you no, Ross, you have every right to be mad. You gave them the length to pull her up.
Yeah,
You did
he
your
did.
part, which
They all did
oftentimes
their
he does
part.
not. And everybody, they did. They all did. They all helped save Kay. But of course, Kay was going to run into the arms of Miguel, and that's just the way it goes. But
Well, he pulled her out of there. What they were, she was already in his embrace when they came
yeah,
out of
yeah,
the hold. He was holding her, and they
yeah,
came up, and she continued holding him and thanked him for
yeah,
saving her. I mean, he was the one that careened down, and he did
yeah,
take on the most risk, I feel
yeah,
like. But she says, "I want to go home, Miguel." 100%. Yes, 100%. I'm with you, Kay. She's the only one thinking rationally. She's the only one thinking rationally. And Miguel says, "Not yet. We have to find Charity.
yeah. and
Charity."
and we continue to go looking for charity. I will say again, what made me laugh really hard and was really harsh was that Kay is kind of like reveling in the fact that she was saved by Miguel, and Simone's like, just so you know, we had to beg Miguel to save you. I'm like,
Yeah.
you almost lost your friend, but let's just stick it in her back real quick because
Well,
you just want it to hurt.
that exchange was hilarious to me
Yeah.
because Kay, after crying to Miguel that she wants to go home, she starts to smile, and Smells like, "What are you smiling about?"
Yeah, because she's like, he came to save me.
Yeah, she's like, "Look, Simone, he chose me over her," and someone's like, "We had to beg him to save you," and
Yeah.
Kay says, "That's not what matters. It's what he did.
Yeah.
It's not what he said. It's what he did." And I. Again, our girls dropping gems because that's absolutely true.
Yeah.
I say that to people all the time. It's not what you say, it's what you do,
Yeah.
right? At the end of the day, you might have said one thing, but you did another. So
Yeah.
that's what the doing, the action is
Yeah.
what matters. I mean, she's delusional, obviously, but I'm still, I mean, it's fair enough. Um, and
I
then
think
she
maybe.
says,
Oh,
"Oh no," she just says that she thinks that the legend of the two cousins
oh,
is coming true. And
yeah,
she's like, "I don't think I have to do anything. I'm just gonna sit back and let the legend do its thing."
yeah. Well,
So
and I think this is a good time if we wanted to go check on Tabitha and Timmy because they're about to drop in, quite literally.
yeah,
Tabitha and Timmy are still facing off with Norma. They're in that pit. Uh, uh, it made me laugh really hard because again, I love a callback, and Tabitha's basically like, "We have bested the forces of hell, Hecuba herself, and we're about to be whacked by a nut job." So they again are going to die, and by the lamest way of trying to kill these two that I can recall. What
yeah.
do you think about Norma
I
dumping man-eating bugs?
Um, I think, okay, so, yeah, I mean, it was a lot of giant cockroaches. I don't, I think they probably borrowed them from the Fear Factor team.
Yeah. Oh
Because,
yeah, that would
Fear
make sense.
Factor
They were
used to
both
come on
NBC.
on
Yeah.
NBC, and this felt very much like Fear Factor. I was like, and I was surprised that they didn't do like a plug for it, like
Oh
a very
yeah.
specific like Fear Factor plug, because this was one of those things that they did on Fear Factor
Yeah.
all the time.
Man eating bugs is so lame. It's just really lame. But that's what we got. Norma's dumping in bunches of cockroaches from Fear Factor. And Timmy, meanwhile, is trying to get the scepter to work. He does kind of ramble on a couple spells, and he does manage at some point to get the scepter to shoot out some mega pink neon light out of the scepter. And
Yeah.
something's happened, but we don't know if it's gonna do anything quite just yet. Um, it does finally point out that because he asked for rain, he asked for water, which I'm like, why don't you just say kill the bugs? But because it's passions, they said,
I
yeah,
wrote
go
this
ahead.
down. He said he takes the scepter and he says, "Make it rain, make it snappy, drown the bugs, make Timmy happy." And that's when the pink laser shoots out of the thing. But nothing happens, and Norma just keeps this poor lady. All she did all week was just pour bugs into a pit. That's all she did all week long. That's it.
I
Um,
just, again, I do like the relationship that Norma has with her father. Father called her my little glowworm, little glowworm, which I thought was a little cute thing. But yes, Timmy does get the rain to come. So basically, the hurricane that has really kind of messed up everything in Bermuda after the explosion is now hauling ass to Warlock Island and Harmony because of what Timmy did.
okay, because Timmy has said several spells
Spells.
calling for rain. So we cut to like the news channel 5
Oh
NBC like
yeah.
local news
Interesting. Yeah.
meteorologists,
That was an interesting choice.
and he's looking at he's like, look at this storm. The hurricane that was over Bermuda is now hauling ass to a little town called Harmony. Not only that, but every other storm in the world is also, I shit y'all not, this is what they said. Every other storm in the world is now also converging to that point. Every storm is coming because basically, I guess, because Timmy said so
Yeah.
many of those spells, and Tabitha did say that the scepter, he didn't understand how powerful that scepter was,
Yeah.
and she said like it has the power to destroy the island. I don't know, but I think 30 hurricanes at once might do the trick. Might do the trick. I don't know.
I
Every
just
storm in the world is
yeah.
moving to Harmony. I love it.
Aga
I love it.
I just want everyone to know, again, if you watch Passions as much as we do, you know the musical cues, you know the music motifs. They start playing Tabitha and Timmy's kooky hijinks music, so that always pumps me up. It just makes me laugh. I love that. Dun 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 na 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 na. Like they're playing that little I love that music. So they're doing that, and then I wrote this down for you, LeTara. I was like,
Okay.
I can't wait for this to because Norma says, isn't someone at least a bit curious as to what I'm up to? Because the two are hanging out and they're like, oh my god, we got it to rain, like the bugs are dying, the bugs are drowning. And Norma's like, isn't someone at least a bit curious as to what I'm up to? And I just wrote down, LeTara isn't.
I'm not. I wasn't. In
I'm
fact,
impressed with the amount of notes you have about magic right now.
in fact, I don't think I wrote anything about Norma besides the fact that she's throwing bugs down there. I don't think. Oh, well, at one point I did write that Timmy pleads with Norma before the rain starts
Yes.
because it takes a very long time before they get the rain. That's why
Yes.
Timmy says so many spells, and Tabitha keeps telling him like it's
It's
not
this
gonna work. You're
repetitive,
not gonna make
repetitive.
fetch happen. Just
Yeah.
like start stomping on these bugs. And Then Timmy pleads with Norma at one point. I did write this part, and he says, we know you're very lonely. We'll be your friends. We'll sing your praises to people. If you just let us out and let us live, like, we'll be your closest friends. You'll finally have some people to talk to other than your dead dad.
Yeah.
But she passes on the prospect and just keeps throwing bugs in there. And
Yes.
then Timmy calls for water one more time, and that's when it starts to rain. And Timmy says, Timmy did it! Timmy made it rain! Timmy made a miracle! And
Yeah.
I loved that
Yeah.
line. It's definitely going to be the line, the episode title. Timmy made it rain. Timmy made a miracle. Timmy made a miracle. Good job, Tim Tim.
Yeah.
I just
And
loved
as they're
that.
at some point as they're dying, you know, they're worried. Timmy just says something about, you know, they have their goodbyes again like they always do, and Tabitha said, "I'm very proud of you, Timmy." And he's like, "That's all I've ever wanted. All I've ever wanted is to make you
Yeah.
proud."
Yeah, because they noticed that the rain is not just regular rain, it's like torrential
Yeah, they're
downpour.
screwed. To the point
And
where well, at one point Norma throws a huge boulder there, but
yes, she said
boring.
she said if the bugs don't get you, this will, and she rolls a boulder down in there, and it misses them.
Yeah, they didn't
Of
even show
course.
the miss. Like they just let us know it didn't work. It was
Yeah, it
so
misses them. And actually,
yeah.
you helped because you probably smashed a bunch of bugs. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. And I kept thinking, okay, the pits, when Timmy was calling for water, I was like, yeah, but the pit's gonna start filling with water.
Yeah.
And hopefully y'all will be able to like float
That's
as
what I
it
thought.
fills up, but you might drown in it. And
Hmm.
then, but none of that none of that matters because they start to get sucked down into the ground. And this is where we need to go back to the caves
Yes.
because they're getting sucked down into the ground. Meanwhile, the warlocks are talking to Charity, continuing to appeal to her to kill the witch, kill Tabitha. And that's when Charity hears Miguel calling out to her, and she yells back, "I'm over here, Miguel! I'm over here, Miguel!" And the warlocks are like, "We won't let you leave, and if your friends try to take you, then we'll kill you and them too, right?" And then they zap Charity and they all disappear. She disappears and the warlocks disappear.
Yeah.
And then she reappears on like a ledge over
Yeah.
like a cliff. And I didn't
Yes.
understand what the warlocks
No.
were doing here. I
Yeah.
didn't
No.
understand it.
She just gets like sent somewhere else and is like now on the edge of like falling somewhere, and
And she's
she's
passed
knocked
out,
out.
of
Yeah.
course. Of
Yeah.
course. Of course she's passed out. She's laying there on the cliff and she's like, Miguel. Like she's, she's delirious or whatever. The warlocks say if Miguel takes you out of here before you kill Tabitha, then we'll kill you and your friends.
Yeah.
She's hearing these voices, and then all the kids see her laying on that cliffside, and Miguel manages to grab her before she like rolls
Yeah.
over into the abyss. So he grabs her, pulls her up. She wakes up, has no idea how she got where she is.
Yeah.
She's bereft of any memory at this point.
Yeah.
Again, Jesus Christ, get this girl some help. Get
Yeah.
her some help. She's always wandering off, never understands, remembers how she got to where she is. She is a danger to herself. She
Yeah.
is a danger to herself. Whether the warlocks are real or Tabitha's being a witch is real or her powers are real or her visions are real, whether you believe it or not, she is still a danger to herself. That is real because
Yeah.
she's always wandering off and finding herself in the most precarious situations. And when she comes to, she can't remember how she got there.
Yeah.
And that's scary. If I was her, I'd be scared.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be able to, how can you trust yourself?
Yeah.
So, and I mean, that's kind of a serious note, as an aside for everybody that I talk shit about Charity a lot, but if you really think about what is happening to Charity, it's neglectful what Sam and Grace have done in no, truly it is, in letting her just wander around freely without trying to get her any kind of psychological
especially
help.
especially Grace, because Grace actually knows that the girl has some kind of powers, or like some kind of like, they both know that the Standish women have some weird shit going on, so like you should be like closely watching her.
Yeah, and they should have had her evaluated by now, honestly. No, and I don't mean that as a joke. She
Firestarter,
she
Stranger Things
deserves
11 monitoring.
no, seriously, I mean, because again, she is a danger to herself.
Yeah.
She's always in a situation where she's about to die and she's passing out. She wakes up, she can't remember anything. It's
Yeah, what
scary.
is that? If
If
you're
I had a
accident
kid,
prone,
if
death
I had a
prone.
kid that was like walking around like that, I would be terrified all the
Yeah.
time, constantly checking on where they are
Yeah.
because they never can remember how they got anywhere. So anyway, she wakes up, she's confused, of course, as always. Um
And this
and
this right here is where the two magic plot lines merge, and it made me so happy
yeah,
because Tabitha and Timmy, the water's filling up, and so much so that the ground has loosened up. I'm sure with the water and the boulder, it loosens up, and lo and behold, basically like quicksand or mud slide down a chute, and it just throws Tabitha and Timmy down this like weird water slide, mud slide chute at the precise moment where Ross is like, "Oh man, this is crazy. All this shit's happening. I bet you it has something to do with Tabitha." And when he said that, I hoped and I prayed, and the writers did it. We all knew it was happening. Tabitha plows into Ross's ass.
yeah, they drop right on top of his head. They drop right in on his head into the caves. And
I was elated. I
and
was
there
so happy.
and it was hilarious.
Oh,
Like,
it is.
yeah, it
And
was.
just give her some credit because Timmy's in doll mode, so Josh Ryan Evans isn't there, but Juliet Mills is doing some of that stunt work, like
Mm,
drenched in water, in mud. They show her going down that chute, and I'm
yeah,
like,
they.
props to her because she could have easily been like stunt double. I ain't doing that.
Yeah, so she falls onto Reese's head. They fall on Reese's head, and at this point,
I
the
heard
kids are like, "Where did
Teresa's.
you come from?"
I
Oh,
heard
did I say
Teresa's
Teresa?
head.
I
No, but
said
you said onto
Teresa's.
Reese's head, and I
Yeah,
went, my brain, my
that'd be
brain went,
funny.
what? And yeah, that would explain a lot of Teresa's behavior if
If
Tabitha
she was
Timmy had fallen.
transported through that hole to Bermuda, that would be hilarious. That actually be hilarious. And she falls into bed where Teresa
Yeah,
and Julian are, and Julian like shits a fucking brick. That would be I would have lived for that. I would have lived for
Teresa's
that.
head. Teresa's head. I now
Yeah.
I see what I did there.
She
Um,
falls onto Reese's
Reese.
head. Yeah. um so yeah, they fall down and the kids are like, Tabitha, oh my gosh, how did you get here? And she's like,
This is
your
so
guess is
cute.
as good as mine. I
This
was just
fucking show. This
she says
fucking show.
she says I was just taking a walk through the forest with my friend Timmy here, and it started to downpour, and
Ay
the
ay
next thing
ay.
I knew, I was being sucked down into the ground, and here I am. I said, here's what I said. I said, fair enough.
Can
Fair
you
enough.
imagine living in harmony and the things that you go through, and that lady's always happens to be at the center of all this weird shit.
Well,
Yeah.
then, immediately, Charity sees Tabitha and says, you're a witch, Tabitha Lennox. You're a witch.
Which
And
shocked me. That shocked me.
no, but y'all, I cracked the fuck up. She says, because she's wide eyed,
Yeah.
crazed, right?
Awake.
You're a witch, Tabitha Lennox. And then Miguel says, wait a minute, why do you think? Well, and of course, Reese is overjoyed by this. He's like, yeah, I'm
Somebody
with you,
finally,
Charity.
yeah.
I'm with you, Charity. But then Miguel pulls her back and says, like, what do you mean Tabitha's a witch? What are you talking about? And she says, Miguel, it's true. The warlocks told me. What?
Oh, and there, right there is when she she loses everybody. Besides Reese. I think that's the only one that's like still
Reese was still with her.
yeah,
Reese is still with her because he
but
believes in the
Simone,
warlocks. He believes in the
Kate,
witch.
Jessica, they're like, what are you talking
Yeah,
about? They're like,
and
here
it
we go again.
cracked me up.
Yeah.
It cracked me up because she was like on 10 and just
Yeah.
very worked up, and she's like, it's true, Miguel, the warlocks told me, my God, can you imagine being
Yeah.
15, 16, hanging out with this girl? My God, she's a psycho. She's
Yeah.
out of her mind. So, and of course, we know that yes, the warlocks did, but my God,
Yeah. And
having not seen the
again,
warlocks. And I also think, I'm going to take like a moment here and say, I was thinking about this, and I know I've said in the past, like, why don't people believe charity? But then I also remembered that she never has any inkling about the things that are actually happening to them. Like, she had no clue hell was coming to that house. She didn't have like a premonition about the birds, about the blood on the walls. She didn't have a premonition about hell showing up. She didn't know who Hecuba was. She like doesn't her premonitions have never been
that's the thing.
the ones that she talks about for them never
Yeah.
come true.
That's the thing is that she can see it. It doesn't mean that Tabitha hasn't messed with it. Tabitha and Timmy's hijinks stop something from happening. Louise saves the day. Like she can see things that can happen. And I think that would be like I would try and be like, this is what I saw. I don't know if it's gonna happen, but she's so adamant that those things are happening. Then of course, people are like, well, it didn't happen, you idiot. So you obviously don't know what you're talking
But
about.
also, she never sees the things coming that do affect them.
Yeah,
See,
yeah.
like there's a difference. To me, there's a big difference between like I saw this thing, and and then it didn't happen,
Yeah.
versus this crazy fucking thing happened to us, and Charity didn't see it coming.
Yeah.
You know what I
The
mean?
birds,
And it's
yeah.
affecting her and her friends, and like she didn't
Yeah.
see it coming. So anyway, whatever. That's just a little aside. She's screaming about the warlocks. Everybody's like, okay. And of course Miguel's like, you're tired, like this, you don't remember anything. Then
She
Charity, of course, passes out
faints.
again.
So annoying. She faints. When she comes to, she can't remember anything that happened.
She doesn't even remember calling Tabitha a witch just now,
Which
2 minutes ago. She's the worst. And we
again,
need to get her
Tabitha's like,
evaluated.
oh yeah. Tabitha's like, oh thank God. Okay, cool. We're good. Like,
Get this girl evaluated. She's experiencing like early onset Alzheimer's or
and
something.
here was one of my favorite things. I don't know if you wrote this down, but this made me laugh so hard because Tabitha's of course trying to save her own ass. She goes, "Oh well, I feel charity is not well," and Miguel goes, "I know."
I didn't catch
No.
that at all.
Yeah, because Tabitha's like, oh no, I laughed so hard because Tabitha's like, oh fuck, like, oh shit, she's actually calling me out, which I don't think has ever happened. And she's like, oh well, I fear charity is not well. And Miguel goes, I know. Yeah,
Yeah, she's unwell. This girl is
fact.
unwell. I'm not crazy. I'm just a little unwell. I know right now. Everyone can tell. Everyone can tell. And you might not be crazy, but you're definitely unwell.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
she, so yeah, she comes to, and she doesn't remember calling Tabitha a witch, but she then does remember that the warlocks had pulled her into the cave, and she remembers seeing them. She remembers them telling her about a woman who trapped them on the island, and she remembers the rock closing around her. But yeah, she somehow doesn't remember that Tabitha's a witch. I don't know if she's just like pretending now or not. I don't know. Miguel tells her she must have been dreaming. It must have just been a dream. And she says that, oh, wait a minute. Sorry, I got the wrong notes. No, I don't. Okay. So then she says, I remember the rocks closing around me. Then Reese says something about someone must have invited evil back to Harmony, and I know exactly who that is. And he looks at Tabitha, but then Charity turned and says, "It was you, Kay." And everybody's like, "Wait, you think Kay invited evil back to Harmony?"
yeah.
And she says, No, I remember having a vision of Miguel making love to you, Kay. It was you were the woman in my vision. Like she just jumped to a whole new subject. But anyway, and then Miguel says, "Well, that proves it. You were clearly dreaming because I would never make love to Kay. You're dreaming. Dream on. Dream on. Dream on. Yeah, dream until your dream comes true. That's Kay. That's for
So
you, Kay.
is Charity referring to when I mean, is Charity referring to when Kay sold her soul to Hecuba, or is
No.
she talking about this
She's
particular
talking
moment?
about this. She and
Oh,
she and she's not talking about Kay inviting. What happened is we jumped from one subject to another
oh,
immediately.
okay,
We
yeah, because I'm
started on the subject of Reese saying somebody invited evil back to harmony, like Father Lonigan said, and that was, and I believe it was Tabitha, and then the way they wrote it, it's like they want us to believe that Charity thinks that Kay is the one, like that she's saying
yeah.
that but that's not what she was saying at all. She
Oh,
just turns to her immediately and it's like, it's you,
oh,
Kay.
yeah.
And
Because
it's
I'm
just
like,
because she remembers seeing the vision of Kay and Miguel
yeah,
having sex. And so she was like, you're the woman that Miguel was
yeah,
making love
yeah.
to. But
Because
yeah,
I'm like, Kay didn't do anything this time. Just so let the
Kay
record.
really hasn't done
Yeah,
anything.
she didn't do it this time.
Not much. I mean, she did pour the water. I'm not gonna, and I
Yes.
will
Oh, yeah.
not absolve her for that. She did pour that water on the pyre so that their escape plan would be thwarted. But who's to say that that would have even worked?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Listen to me again, making excuses for this girl,
I'm okay
this
with you
girl's
making
psychotic
excuses for
behavior.
her.
So then she tells Miguel that Luis and Theresa are in trouble, and he's like, "Well, before you said it was Luis and Sheridan. What's going on?" Like, and then I literally wrote, "This girl is pointless and useless because
Yeah.
she can't tell him anything. She can't give him any answers, any details." Then she starts hearing the warlocks in her head again, and
Yeah.
and she's just like, they're going, destroy her, Charity, kill her, and Charity's like, they're back, they're here, and she screams, no, I won't, no, I won't, they're here, Miguel, they want me to do things, they're here, they want me to do things. And she says, if and Miguel's like, let's get out of here. Let's get you out of here. And she's like, no, if we leave, they'll kill us all, Miguel. They'll kill us all. And Miguel says, no one's gonna try and kill us. Let's try and get out of here. And then we get an earthquake.
Yeah.
The caves start to shake. So that's where we ended with them this week. You got anything to add to them?
That's magic. I will just
That's
say at one
magic.
point, yeah, at one point, Timmy, and of course Timmy's in doll mode because he's with all these people, but Tabitha does try to strain Timmy, and he's like, "Ouch!" And it just made me, I laugh when Timmy can't do anything. He's just kind of sitting there. No,
Yeah.
it was fun. I mean, it was fun.
I did
Yeah.
enjoy
I'm shocked you enjoyed it as much as you did. You had notes for magic.
I had a lot of notes for magic. You know what it was is that there was so much of Miguel being terrible that I had a
Yeah,
lot
it
to
was
talk
very
about.
terrible. Very terrible. Very terrible. Him not wanting to help Kay immediately was just horrific. It was
I will
terrible.
never forget that. I will
Yeah.
never forget that. It's adding to my. I mean, Miguel has been on my shit list for quite some time, but it is adding to my list of like reasons to hate Miguel. And he's just every
But
episode he just gives me another reason to hate him.
yeah, what is the
I
word?
don't like
Himbo?
him.
Himbo is
You
what
know
it is.
what? I started out calling him a himbo, but he's
I
not a
remember
himbo.
that.
Himbos are good
No.
guys, and he's not a
Yeah.
good guy. He's just a dick. He's
It's
just a dick.
these rewatching the series is making me reevaluate who I liked and who I didn't like because I always at least thought that Miguel, but this pissed me off this week. It really upset me.
I mean, this was some shitty behavior. That was horrible.
So who's
Telling her, Kay, we're gonna try and save you, but if it takes too long, we're gonna leave you to die. I mean,
peace? Gotta go.
because charity means more than you. Her life is more important than yours, even though we have no real indication that she's in mortal danger because we hear
Yeah.
her screaming like she always is. But
Again, I'm just
anyway,
happy that Jessica said no.
yeah,
No.
I was glad and Jessica was like, I'm not gonna leave my sister, Miguel.
And
Like,
I love my cousin, but I'm
yeah,
watching her die in front of me.
yeah, it's ridiculous. Yeah. So
Anyway,
we're gonna move on to
from
troubled marriages,
yeah,
y'all.
from one shitty behavior to another.
Oh boy. Yeah, let's talk about it. Let's try and speed run this one.
Yeah.
I'm gonna try my best, but I know how I get off on tangents and start like
Hey.
talking shit. Okay. So we pick up where David is talking to Eve and Hank and Pilar in the church while Sam and Grace are like out in the courtyard having their own little argument. So let's pick up with what's going on with David and the people in the church where he tells them it won't be long until it won't be long now until Grace remembers that she was married to me. And when she does, she will leave Sam and come back to her true husband. She said, David then says that he doesn't doubt that Sam and Grace have love, but that his love with Grace was deeper and more passionate. Now, I want to remind everybody that last week we did the math on this, and David and Grace were married for all of a week before Grace disappeared. I want everybody to make sure you remember that. Yes,
A
because listen to
week.
I'm gonna give you the timeline again because to me it is extremely important to how I feel about this storyline. So, um, David says last week. David says that he and Grace got married, and then the priest was like, "Yes, I remember you were planning to go to Boston to study." I guess she was supposed to be going to Boston for school. You were going to Boston to study, and then David says, "That's right. You left right after the honeymoon." And then I never saw you again. So I don't know how long their honeymoon was, but I doubt it was longer than a week, maybe two. I'm giving it a week because they were
Yeah.
like poor young people. I'm giving their honeymoon a week. They were married for all of a week. How dare you? How dare you come in here and say like our love was deeper and more passionate than Grace's and Sam's? Grace and Sam have been married for over 20 years. They have 3 children together. They've weathered so many storms together. Like, and I could see if he and Grace had been married for a long time, were longtime sweethearts, but it's not like they were childhood sweethearts either.
Yeah,
Like
no,
they
yeah.
didn't know each other their whole lives. He saw her in a cafe one day once they were grown already and fell in love, and they had like a whirlwind romance, got married. Like her family, nobody even came to their wedding.
Yeah.
And then she fucked off and disappeared. So, you know, his I don't know, though his whole thing falls apart for me when you realize that they were only married for for all of a week. It falls apart for me.
Yeah. Grace
So
fucked off is that's probably one of my favorite. I know that can't be the title of the episode, but
Grace
really
did
good.
fuck off. She fucked off, and so anyway,
I did not think about that timeline. Thank you for that, because yeah, that making it sound like you have. I understand how when we are young, we have passionate feelings towards people. That can happen, but for you to make it sound like your love was the greatest love to ever exist, when these two have memories and children, and like you
yeah.
said, gone through trials and tribulations, like you can't compare. You can't. You
Memories
I
all
think it's
alone in the moonlight. Okay, yes, they have memories. It doesn't compare. It's ridiculous. It's absurd that they and also I want everybody to remember that timeline because eventually we get a son, a long lost son that comes into the picture. Remember? I know
oh
we're not there
dang.
yet, but there's a kid that comes into the picture that allegedly is Grace's long lost son as well. When did she have that baby? When did she have that baby? I because I don't believe
I
that
can
Grace is
I
having premarital
honestly
sex.
I don't remember that at all. So
You
I
don't?
I do
Oh,
not.
I'm sorry. I'm spoiling.
No, no, that's okay. I don't. I know David. I know the storyline's gonna. We're just at the beginning, but I don't remember that. So I'm kind of
You'll when we get
excited to.
there.
I feel like I have amnesia.
Honestly, I do have selective amnesia when it comes to this show. There's so
Yes,
many
I
things that
do
I
too. Yeah,
truly have forgotten
I do so.
are just gone.
Can I
And when
just
they
say, in these episodes, first of all, I love hanging out with Eve and Pilar. Like, I do like hanging out with them. I hate that it's about Grace because I rather watch the other storylines. But Hank, God bless that actor, but he's so bad. Really
Yeah, take your
bad.
shirt off, bro. Like, just take your shirt off and
Yeah,
like,
yeah. If he took his shirt off and said his lines, I
yeah.
don't understand. But okay, he did deliver one line that I really enjoyed because he said something about to like Grace and Sam about, but you two are like one. And then I heard because when two become one,
Come
I was like,
on.
hey,
Which I saw a meme today because the time went back and it was
yeah,
like two becomes one and I cracked up. It was like remember tonight's the night when two becomes one. Oh, I love that song. I love the Spice
that's
Girls.
funny.
But
That's funny.
yeah, he's not great. He's not
Yeah,
great, but
but I God bless
luckily
him. I care about the actor. I just I care about
luckily
the person, but it was bad acting.
luckily he doesn't have to deliver too many lines.
Yeah, they
But
don't give him a
they
lot.
are very robotic. It is very like meathead. Like,
Yeah.
yeah,
And
I
again,
don't
it
know.
should just be the writing. I'm not gonna because I know. Yeah,
No, hell, say what you gotta say. You and stick to it, 10 toes down. You don't like it, and it's fine.
I care
It's
about the person. I just think the acting's really bad. Yeah.
it is
But
what
he
it is.
made me laugh when he said, "You two are like one."
They are they are far from one, let's be clear. So David then says to the three friends here, Eve, Hank, and
Hank,
Pilar,
Pilar, yeah.
that he's like, I understand that you love Grace and Sam and you want them to be together, but I could easily bring in three friends who want me and Grace to be together.
If I were Eve or
Especially
Pilar, I would have been like, "Then do
then
it."
do. Then do. That's what
Where
I
are
said.
they?
Bring the friends.
Come on, we'll all have coffee together. Grace can make tomato soup cake. Let's have a conversation.
But this is the important part of this statement, which is he says, I could bring in three friends who want me and Grace to be together. He says, especially once they hear that Sam had a great love before in Ivy.
And
And
he
this is
keeps
where we
bringing
start to
that up.
lay that groundwork.
Yes.
And where if I was anybody else in this show, I would start to get a little bit suspicious. Why do you keep bringing Ivy up?
Especially Eve. I want Eve to be like, my spider sense is tingling. Like, how come you keep talking about Ivy? You don't even know her.
I think
Do not even know her.
I think at this point Eve is in on it. I
See, that's
think
what
Eve
I
is in
think
on
too.
it.
Remember all of the medical stuff, the polygraphs, and whatever,
They
all that
haven't they
shit.
haven't shown us explicitly yet, but there was something about her this week
Just
that made me think that maybe
just like
she's
our selective
in on
memory.
it
I
already.
remember we've kind of talked about several times about where like Eve is the one that has to do all of this police work with Sam to the psychological exam, the polygraph, all that stuff. Those are things that she can manipulate and
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I was like, she could just be giving them false information especially when it came to the polygraph test, to the
yeah,
psychological exam. But yeah, I think Eve might be in on it by this point.
yeah,
She just seems like she's playing her part at this
yeah.
point, where she's saying, I want Grace and Sam to be together. I want them to be together. But I mean, maybe it's time we all come to the conclusion or start to deal with the fact that maybe this is real and like their
Yeah,
their marriage is going to fall apart. She says that later on.
yeah.
But whatever. David says everything. It would be better for everybody if Ivy and Sam got back together because they have a son together. It's like they have Sam and Grace have three other children together. Stop bringing up Ethan as if he's a grown ass man. They can't raise him. He's raised. It's done. It's over.
Yeah.
Like they have a son together. Well, if that's the arbiter to if people should be together, then Sam and Grace should be together because they have three children together.
Yeah. And they are not grown. They are, I mean, they still have growing to do.
Yeah, but he's like, maybe it'll be better for everybody. Yada yada yada. Who really cares? Let's go out to Sam and Grace, where Sam is worried that Grace is starting to remember that she had feelings for David at some
Yes.
point. And then Grace is like, well, we need to talk about it. And it's like, what are y'all doing? You're talking about it. That's what talking about it. This is what you're doing. She's like, we really need to talk about everything. Yes, that's what Sam's trying to do. But then he says to her, I don't want to talk anymore. I don't want to talk if it makes you feel bad. I don't want to talk anymore. He says, I don't want to talk anymore until you answer my question. Do you remember David as your husband? And do you remember your love for him? She says, no. I still don't remember anything. But then she brings up, but there's all of this proof. He has the marriage license. He
She
has the.
keeps defending David, this man she doesn't know, and it's so frustrating.
This part was horrific. Sam says, I don't care about those things. All I care about is us, you, me, and our marriage. And she says, but we don't have a marriage, Sam, not a legal one. What the fuck? What a horrible, mean, nasty thing to say to your husband of over 20 years.
But this is the same thing that when she said that the children, how are we going to tell our children they're illegitimate? You don't need to say that. They exist. You are doing all of this. And I just kept getting frustrated every time I had to
I
hear
wrote,
this talk this week.
I wrote, she's so irritating. That's what I wrote
Yeah.
in my notes.
And I'm
She's so
happy.
irritating.
And I'm happy Sam finally got to say, stop defending that son of a bitch. I was
Mm-hmm.
so happy to hear him say that because I'm like, she has done nothing but defend the stranger that abducted her. Like, it's too much.
Okay, so let's get in because they do end up having like an argument, which was great.
Hmm.
So Sam gets a page, beep 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 beep. He's like, "Oh, it's the station. It must be an emergency. I told them not to contact me unless it was an emergency." So
Yeah.
he goes to call the station, and Grace catches Ivy lurking in the like bushes, and she calls her a she's like, look at you, Ivy, you're such a vulture picking over the bones of my marriage.
Yeah. Oh,
And then
yeah.
Ivy's like, I came here to decorate the church. Look, I have flowers and everything. Girl, you have one bouquet of flowers. How is that supposed to decorate the whole damn
Yeah.
church?
No,
And
and then
then
oh, I was gonna say she does the vulture line, and then she says, "You are a woman who like of ill standards," and does this. She goes, "You know what? No, you're just a pure bitch." And I was
mm,
like, Grace,
mm,
Grace Bennett.
she says to her, how many times have you thrown yourself at my husband? Oh, now he's your see, if I were Ivy, I'd be like, oh, now he's your husband, huh? Now he's your husband? Because a minute ago, you just told him, y'all don't have a marriage, not a legal one. We don't have a marriage. But now I'm throwing myself at your husband. You keep telling him he's not your husband. But anyway, she says, Grace says, how many times have you thrown yourself at my husband? And yeah, she just is laying into Ivy, and that's when Sam comes back and notices that they're arguing. Not even arguing. Grace is just laying into Ivy. Ivy's not really saying anything back because she really doesn't have a good rebuttal. Also, Ivy is playing. What do they say? The best defense is a good offense, or the best
Yeah,
offense is a good defense. I don't fucking know sports.
but no, you're right. Yes, they say that.
But she's on the offense, right? Like
Yeah.
she's playing like chess, and nobody else is playing the game,
Oh
so
yeah,
she's
they're
winning
playing
it.
checkers. Yeah,
Yeah.
they're playing checkers.
And so she's kind of hanging back and not engaging with Grace very much, and so that she can kind of look like the victim here, right? So Sam comes back, and Grace says, this woman from your past, she is just a pure bitch, and she's never gonna leave you alone. She's been here waiting to pounce on you like an alley cat in heat. Damn you, Ivy Crane, you are evil, girl. I mean, she is going in on Ivy. Again, Ivy says the only reason I was here to decorate the church, I brought flowers. Grace doesn't believe it. And Ivy says, well, you can ask Pilar. And this is the part where they start to like argue. She says, you can ask Pilar. That's the only reason I was here. Grace says, I don't give a damn. I don't need to ask Pilar. I know exactly why you're here. And that's when Sam interjects and he's saying, wait a minute. You don't believe, this was crazy because he says, you don't believe that Pilar is covering for her, do you? Pilar is one of your closest friends. You don't trust her? Why don't you trust her? Wait a minute. Did you just forget that a month ago you found out that Pilar has been covering for Ivy for the last 25 years and has been lying to you about a whole ass child? Like, Pilar cannot be trusted. Especially when it comes to Ivy. Pilar cannot be
That's
trusted.
true.
Like, I'm sorry. I'm
It's
sorry.
true.
Like
It's
when
true.
when Sam said that, I was like, Sam, this is not, he's so dumb. He's so dumb. I was like, Sam, this is not the correct line of
True. Yeah,
like
it is true. You
defense.
are not wrong. I will give you
Pol-
that. I love Pilar, but that's true. I mean, Pilar can't, Pilar hurt you
Pilar's,
too.
like, Pilar is the number one person who would be covering for
Yeah.
Ivy, right?
Yeah.
She did it for the last 20 something years and kept your son from you. That's unforgivable. I'm sorry. It's crazy to me that they have forgiven Pilar so easily over that and nobody ever brings it up. But
Yeah.
anyway,
That
yeah,
never, they will never bring it up.
I'm the only one who just brought it up. Like it did not come up
Yeah.
this week at all. Like when she
Good. And we're
because
gonna
it would
keep
have
it
been a
that way because I like Pilar.
it would have made sense for it to come up, but it didn't. It would have
Yeah.
made sense for it to come up, but it didn't. Anyway, um, then she's your one. Pilar's one of your closest friends, and you don't trust her, but you believe this David character. And then Grace is like, but you're twisting everything around. And she says, this is about Ivy and her biding her time, waiting for our marriage to fall apart so she can get her claws into you. It's like, so yes, and
But
like you're
that's
the
what
one.
I'm frustrated with. Is like, how are you not able to see that both y'all are both in the same situations? You got somebody who's waiting waiting in the fucking lines for you, but you have opened this up to happen because at some point
Exactly.
Sam says, "Should I stay or should I go?" And I was like, "Should I stay or should I go?"
Don't
Yeah,
don't don't
I
don't
got in
don't
there
don't
with it,
don't.
and Grace has the gall to say, "That's up to you, Sam." What?
Mm-mm.
What?
Listen.
No. He has done everything. He went to the police station. He slept over there. He's trying to give you time. He's trying to make you. He's done everything to be like, let's move forward. But for you to say it's up to you, no, it's up to you.
It
You have.
very literally is up to Grace. And my thing too is okay, y'all, everybody knows I was Team Grace all through the whole like paternity thing, the whole like her needing space. I was like, I get it. She lost a baby. She's going through a lot. She feels betrayed. But now the tables have turned a bit, and I can't be Team Grace because she's being such a fucking idiot about this whole situation. And for her to sit here and say, well, I look at Ivy, she's biding her time so that she can get her claws into you, waiting for our marriage to fall apart so she can get her claws into you. You are the one tearing down your marriage. If you don't want Ivy to get her claws into Sam, then just say, you know what, Sam, I'm going to get this other marriage annulled. We're going to be together. And that's that. Like the fact that she is trying to blame Ivy for all, although I mean, it is Ivy's fault. Let's get it.
Yes, it
We all
is.
know
It
this.
is. Yes. Yeah. I
But
understand
they
that.
don't know. But they don't know that, right? She doesn't
Exactly.
know that,
And
and
again,
so
I've said this before. I get wanting to know about your past. I can't imagine having 20 years erased or 15 years erased from the beginning of my life. I can't imagine that. So tell Sam, listen, we're good. We're together. But I need to figure this out because you know what? I believe that maybe something might have happened. He knows all this shit about me and that I have honey in my tea or whatever bullshit that she wants to say. I believe that. So I need to figure this out. But you and I are together. We're solid. We got this. I gotta suss him out. We gotta keep doing this
yeah.
instead of saying I gotta honor my first marriage. No, you don't. You don't.
And
And I know
especially
you're
considering you
Catholic.
don't remember it.
You
You do
don't
not remember
remember
it.
anything.
You know how when you go to a family reunion and you have like random relatives, generally always older relatives who
Yeah.
come up to you and they're like, "Oh my goodness, you're such and such's baby. I haven't seen you since you were this high, and wow, you've grown so much, yada yada yada. You don't remember me, do you?" No, I don't remember you. You are no one to me. I'm sorry, right?
That's
Like
when yeah, there's an
I
episode.
understand on an
Yeah,
intellectual level that you and I are related, but like I don't fucking know you.
yeah. There's
You
an
know?
episode of The Golden Girls where Sophia's friends from Italy come to visit, and they
Hmm.
say that Dorothy's their daughter. But whatever. One of my favorite jokes is he tells Dorothy, I held you when you were a baby," and she's like, "Oh, really?" And then Sophia goes, "You peed on his suit." And then they kind of laugh about it, and then the lady goes, "Yeah, but you can hardly see it anymore."
Yeah, yeah. Actually, I'm
Good
gonna
joke.
make a Golden Girls joke here very
Yeah.
soon. It's in my
Oh,
notes.
hey, hey, we'll keep it on
but
theme.
but so let's keep trucking along. So yes, their marriage is falling apart.
Yeah. We
Um,
can definitely fast forward and just go TC comes running in.
Yes.
That's fair.
Okay. So
Okay.
okay, let's just say this: their marriage is falling apart. They're arguing because Ivy's like slightly defending. I'm sorry. Sam is slightly defending Ivy, and Grace is constantly defending
Yeah.
David and saying like she calls him honorable, and she talks about how like she thinks it's so great that he harbored this love for her for all these years. She's a narcissist. Anyway, he everybody comes out into the courtyard and are witnessing this whole thing. And then Eve, this is when Eve pulls Pilar to the side and notes that she thinks that Grace and Sam's marriage may be over. And that's why I think at this point, Eve is in on the plan. Like
That's pure. Yeah.
I think it was her job to kind of pretend like she didn't know what was going on and try and help them as much as she could, but now she's at the point where she's supposed to kind of drop off and become the person who's in Grace's ear saying maybe this is not going to work kind of thing. I don't know. Anyway, and then TC, a rare appearance from TC. TC comes running in after
Fresh from the murder shed.
100 episode absence. We haven't seen this man in so long. And he lets everybody know there's a hurricane a coming.
There it is. That's the Golden Girl reference.
That's my Golden Girls reference. There's a hurricane a coming. A coming, Ma.
A coming? A coming. It means something very big is on its way. Yeah. Hurricane. Take me Hurricane 1991. That's a t-shirt.
Yeah. Okay. So there's a hurricane a coming to Harmony. I mean, all the storms. Remember, all the storms in
Yeah.
the world are coming to Harmony. And so then, of course, everybody starts to remember that they have children and that their children are out on an island that they let them just go to unaccompanied.
Yeah.
Who sends children? Who
Yeah.
sends children out into the open ocean to a deserted island
Yeah.
by themselves without a chaperone? Like they didn't know Tabitha was going with them, and Tabitha's far from a chaperone. So anyway, everybody starts to worry about the kids and like Sam keeps telling Grace, "Don't worry about the kid." It made me laugh. He's like, "Don't worry about the kids," because I know he was like trying to calm her down.
Yeah.
Him saying, "Don't worry about the kids. They know how to seek shelter," was so very Sam to me. I was like, yeah, you're terrible. Terrible at your job, terrible at being a dad. Like just all
It's
around.
bad.
They're bad parents. They're all
Yeah.
such bad parents. And so then they all kind of disperse to do their different duties. Sam tells Grace to go to the shed and get all of the blankets that she removed from their house before it got sucked to hell. Get all the blankets, and she talks about that. She's like, "Thank God I put these out here before our house got sucked to hell."
Yeah.
But they were in the shed, so he tells her to go get the blankets and set up like a shelter in the church for everybody because there's going to be people who need shelter. And he's like, "I'm gonna go and try and light the beacon." Honestly, I didn't care enough to kind of understand what the hell he was talking about when he said light the beacon. He was like, the boats need the beacon to see. I guess it's kind of like a lighthouse kind of thing. I don't know. So Ivy and David are like, "We want to help." And Sam says, "Though, you can stay here. That's how you can help. Just stay
Yeah.
here, help Grace with the shelter." Of course, Ivy follows Sam, David follows Grace. Grace and David get trapped in the in the shed together because a tree falls in front of the door.
Yeah.
And then he gets like a little cut on his arm when a tree comes through the window, and he kind of shields Grace from that. And she does first aid on him, and they have the same conversation they have
They
been
always have. Yeah.
having about how he's her real husband. I don't fucking care. And which I think I wrote on my notes. And then now the interesting stuff is Sam goes to light this beacon, which is like I don't know,
Oh yeah.
a 2-foot ladder. It's like so short. He has to, so he's like trying to get this beacon together, and Ivy shows up and he's like, "Ivy, what the hell are you doing?" Again, it's torrential downpour, like it's pouring down rain. "Ivy, what the hell are you doing here? It's not safe. You need to get out of here." And she's like, "No, Sam, I want to help. I want to help the kids." And he's like, "They're not even your kids." And she's like,
Yeah.
"But they're Ethan's siblings, and
I
I'll be
liked that.
damned.
I
I'll
I
be."
know it's probably not
I
why
liked it
she's
too.
there, but I did like it. She's like, I wrote down, I love Ivy. She said, I know Noah, Jessica, and Kay are not my kids, but as soon as Ethan had like now Ethan has lost so much, I'm not going to let him lose his half siblings.
Yeah.
Um, and I thought that, I mean, Noah's not there, but she even mentioned Noah. But I just thought that was nice. And then I have got really excited because I'm like, oh shit, we're about to get wheelchair Ivy. And now I remember I kept saying I think we're going to get her at some
Okay.
point.
I
And
wasn't sure if this was the incident that caused
I,
her
I
to go to
yeah,
the wheelchair, but so let's talk about it.
yeah,
This beacon thing. Again, it's pouring down rain. Sam has to like climb this ladder to put the beacon up. Again, it's not very high, but they act like it is, so I'm going to go with it. He gets up there and he drops something and he's like, "I'm going to come down and get it." And I was like, "No, I'll bring it to you. That'll take too long. I'll bring it to you." So she kicks off her shoes and she starts climbing up the ladder with the thing. She gives it to Sam and he like does the beacon or whatever, which he's tied himself to the smart. This was smart. Tied
yeah.
himself to the top so that he doesn't get blown off. And Ivy's supposed to be going back down the ladder, but then she gets struck by lightning. And
Yeah.
and it's crazy because she gets struck by lightning, but she hangs onto the ladder.
Which that's just weird to me. Like it's
Yeah,
bad enough to be struck by lightning, but she manages to stay. Like I don't know if the electricity fused her hands onto the bars, but she stayed on there holding
yeah.
on. And was she conscious, semi-conscious? I think maybe she
It
was.
seemed like she was conscious and she was trying to hang on. She got struck. She's trying to hang on. Which if you can hang on, put your feet on the thing. I don't know
Yeah,
if you're that conscious, but she didn't, and she's hanging on. Sam tries to untie himself to get her, but he's not. He's too late. She falls to the ground,
yeah,
and he gets down there and then he does the thing that you are never supposed to do when somebody fucking falls like that and has likely a back injury. He picks her up and moves her body. It's like she now that's probably why she can't walk right there because you moved her. But anyway, he moves her body and he wants to go get help for her, but she's delirious. Like she's dreaming of the summer that they spent together. She thinks it's still that time. Like she's been like transported in her mind back to that time. She doesn't want him to leave her, and then she's like, "I'm gonna die here. Like this is it. Please don't leave me here to die." Again, he wants to go and get her some help, but she will not let him go because she's like, "This is it. This is how I die, and I want." If I'm gonna die, I want to die with you. And it's kind of sad. I mean, I know that Ivy doesn't die here.
yeah. But I mean, she feels. I mean, maybe she's. That's what I was like. She's losing sensations. I mean, like maybe she's feeling like she's dying, and nobody wants to die alone. I mean, like
Yeah.
she's freaking out, and I mean, not freaking out, but she is kind of scared. She's just scared.
Yeah.
And
She
I mean,
is
I
scared.
will say that the writers pissed me off because they did this and they repeated the joke twice because you always get a little bit of a recap at the top of an episode. But she's like, Sam's like, get down from here. I need you to go get safety. And she's like, I'll be down in a flash. Lightning strikes her. I was like, oh, fucking writing assholes. I'll be down in a flash. She gets struck by lightning.
She gets struck by lightning. Bless her little heart. So yeah, Ivy's down for the count, everybody. We shall see where that goes. I guess this is when she loses her feeling in her legs and is paralyzed.
Yeah.
It would make sense that's this is when that happens. Okay. It's time to go to Bermuda. And it's I was really frustrated with this storyline this week.
Yeah.
Which is part of the reason it's at the end of the show this week.
Yeah,
You know,
because there's not much to say, but there is, and they repeat and repeat and repeat and repeat.
yeah. So we'll just jump right in here. First of all, let's start with the guys. The guys are still out at sea, trying desperately to make it back to shore, except for Luis, who is trying to like find some driftwood to try and find Sheridan. Like he keeps just like shit. Miguel's yelling Charity. Luis is yelling Sheridan. These two
Yeah.
brothers are just yelling these women's names the entire week. Yeah, he's Sheridan.
Yeah.
Sheridan. But I am very much more sympathetic to Luis's cause than I am to Miguel's. It was actually kind of heartbreaking. He's in the water and he's trying. He's delirious. He's overwhelmed. The storm is rocking them. So they're all trying to stick together and trying to make it to shore. Eventually, Luis like passes out, which is how they managed
Yeah.
to get him to shore because he's like fighting them,
Yeah.
trying to find Sheridan. So luckily, he passes out so that they can kind of force him up to shore. So they do eventually make it to shore, but before we get to what happens when they make it back inside, let's talk about what's going on inside this hotel. Rebecca, let's pick up with Rebecca, who is pumping the justice of the peace for info on the info on Theresa and Ethan's wedding, and I mean pumping quite literally. Like
Yeah.
she's on her way to a
Yes.
handy J,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Make him feel relaxed.
Yeah, I can make you feel special. That's it. That's more obscure. That's
It's
Avenue
an
Q.
Avenue Q reference. Yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, so she's we're gonna speed through this actually.
Yeah, no,
Nothing
it's
comes
just
of this.
innuendo. Nothing comes from it.
Nothing comes from this.
They keep getting interrupted.
Interrupts.
Yeah.
Bruce interrupts and threatens Rebecca and says, I'm sorry, threatens the justice of the peace and says, you better not say anything about Julian to anybody because you will be sorry. He will make you pay. Okay, so nothing comes of that.
Yeah.
Now to what's going on with Julian. Julian is scheming to quote relive his wedding night with Theresa. He has had the room transformed into a honeymoon suite by the staff there, complete with Theresa's favorite flowers that they pulled from the wedding chapel. And he says he's planning to comfort her once she realizes and accepts the fact that Ethan is dead. Like he doesn't give a fuck. I know I have talked about like Julian is Ethan's real father.
And we will
but
get
that's
and we will,
sad as hell
yeah.
because
Yeah,
this
we
man
will.
doesn't give a shit about Ethan, like clearly.
This is the part of the rewatch that is upsetting me because I always felt like he did love Ethan. I feel like he genuinely loves Ethan, but then I see this where Ethan's dead in his understanding and he could care less because he's got Theresa in his bed.
Not only could he could not care any less, but also he's doing one of the most disgusting, despicable things you could possibly do, which is trying to fuck Ethan's fiance,
An
right? Like,
unconscious
yeah, and we
Ethan's fiance.
trust me, I have a lot to say about it. So we're gonna get there. So yeah, he's scheming on Theresa. Meanwhile, Gwen, ugh. Sorry, Maria. Gwen.
Maria, we love you.
I love Maria. I
But
love
Gwen
Maria.
Gwen was too much this week.
She's bothering
out
Theresa
of-
about Ethan.
Just like Ethan said, if I were a guy at a decked Rebecca, I have the same because Gwen was insufferable
She walks over to
and
saunters over to
straight up
Theresa.
racist.
Yeah. What saunters over to Theresa and says, I'm holding you responsible if anything happens to Ethan. Whitney tells her to shut up and go away.
Whitney was about to beat some ass this week, and I was ready to see it. I think she was going to pull out that tennis racket and just go to town because I wanted to see it.
I would love to see that.
I would love to see that. I would.
Wait, Whitney's
quote-
tennis racket, Whitney's tennis racket versus Gwen's baseball bat.
Oh yeah. To quote Monique, I would like to see it.
would like to see.
I would like to see it.
What is that from? What are you talking about?
It went viral. It's a meme. It's a GIF that people use. She was on a talk show and they asked her a question and Monique said, I would like to see it.
Well, I would like to see it.
I
Okay.
would like to see it.
I would love to see that. So anyway, she says, Theresa, I understand. I know exactly why you came down here. You came down here to trick Ethan into marrying you. Trick Ethan into marrying me? He already wants to marry me. Girl, shut the fuck up. How the hell am I tricking him into anything? He already has been, I have been engaged to him. You are the one who has to trick him into marrying you, not me. He wants to marry me. Unfortunately, present circumstances will prevent it, but it's not, I'm not trying to trick him into marrying me. Anyway, Julian then gets news from like the captain of the Coast Guard or something that the boat captain that went out to find Sheridan, Basil, has washed ashore. They found his body. He is
Yeah.
dead, kaput, dunzo, right? And
So
so
I'm gonna just pause real quick. I do want to say that at some point when TC went back to talk about what's going on with the kids on Warlock Island, he does say that the original captain got like murdered.
I forgot all about that. Yes, because we sped through. Okay, yes, let's
Yeah.
actually say something very quickly about this. Because they're worried about the kids. They're worried about the kids. Sam says, oh, well, call the boat captain and make sure he goes out there. He was supposed to go and pick up the kids. Like, what's going on with that? And that's another thing. Like, how the hell do y'all not know when your kids are supposed to be coming
Yeah.
and going? But anyway, he says, call boat captain. Wasn't he supposed to be picking them up from the island? And TC says, that's the weirdest thing. Somebody knocked him over the head and tied him up and took the boat. So we don't know who the hell's out there on the island with the kids. I'm so glad you brought that up. I
Thank
completely
you.
forgot
Yeah,
about
me
that.
too. Because when I heard it, it was like, what a fuck? Like, how? I mean, I would be like, the kids are dead. Or white slavery. I don't know. They are abducted. I would have freaked the
Yeah.
fuck out. But
Yeah.
they're just kind of like, and again, it makes all that other stuff funnier about like Sam being like, they'll seek cover, they'll seek shelter. No, you don't even know who sailed the boat over there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway,
Because
sorry, it
TC
popped in my
does
head.
tell them
Yeah.
that. TC does tell them that, and then Sam proceeds to continue to say to Grace, "Don't worry about the kids. Don't worry about the kids. They've been abducted by
Uh,
boats, by
yeah.
sea. Like,
Sorry, you jogged my memory as soon as you said that
no, thank you, because I
Basil,
forgot about it.
yeah,
Okay, so
Basil, who was in charge of the bomb. Apparently, he's dead.
Basil's dead. Good. I'm glad. Good riddance. Fuck you. So they found him dead, and so you know what? Good for Julian too. Loose end tied up. You can take that. That's money you can take back to the bank.
Yeah,
So uh, then he says, holding out hope. He tells the girls. He goes and tells the girls about Basil, and he tells them holding out hope for the
yeah,
others would be futile. We must be resolved to the fact that they're all gone. The girls are all devastated. Gwen looks completely shocked, like she kind of freezes. Teresa kind of falls to pieces, right? She like gets
yeah,
over emotional,
yeah,
not, I don't want to say over emotional, like she gets very emotional outwardly. That's what it is. She
yeah.
becomes outwardly emotional. Whitney is also very upset and grappling with the fact that she like has feelings for Chad and like what this means for her. And so then Julian immediately starts rubbing Teresa's like shoulders and is pretending like he's like comforting her and tries to get him to go up to her room and says, "You need to be comforted, my darling." And he says, "I know you're in pain, but maybe this is a sign that we should honor our wedding vows." What the hell is wrong with
And
Julian?
I'm happy Whitney's
He
there.
must have a fucking brain injury. He
It's just a
has to
lot.
have a brain injury.
It's a lot of white privilege. It's a lot of upper class, wealthy white privilege that allows him to even consider the fact that he would be able to continue to stay married to Teresa. He's not seeing anything for what it is, and it's his own egotistical mind that I'm telling you, I had Julian not on a pedestal because I knew he came with a lot of faults, particularly the way that him and Eve broke up and all of that stuff. But rewatching this was just infuriating me because
Oh,
I'm like, it's one all the Teresa stuff that in itself is an abomination. But the Ethan thing, you just got told you. I can't imagine you grow up with anybody in your life, whether they say they're your mom, your dad, your son, your uncle, your cousin, your second cousin once removed. They lived with you. You raised this person, and now they're like, he's dead, obliterated, and you're just like, can't wait to fuck that delicioso. Yeah.
yeah, can't wait to fuck his delicioso fiance. Like, what the hell is wrong with you?
Yeah.
I was very disgusted with Julian this weekend, like you, and many listeners will remember that I have defended Julian a lot,
Yeah, and
and
I know
given him a lot of
his
passes.
arc will go somewhere else. But right now, rewatching this, I'm like, oh yeah, they and but it. Ugh. Anyway, all
The
of that
fact
to
that he just
say,
has no love for Ethan and then decides that he's ready to like rape his girlfriend is just insane to me.
yeah,
So yeah, he's like, maybe this is a sign that we should honor our wedding vows. And Whitney, because Teresa's out of it entirely. Whitney calls him, she says, "You are such a pig. Get your hands off of
yeah.
her," and
I'm
like
t-
pushes him off of her. And
and
he
it's
says,
funny that you
"She's
said
my
that.
wife."
Oh,
I like
God, get the fuck out of here.
he says
Oh, I'm
she's my
sorry.
wife, and Whitney's like, "Y'all were drunk, and you're supposed to be getting that marriage annulled, or did you
I'm
forget?"
happy Whitney's there to keep everybody on track. You know what? Also, it's that I'm going to add some layers here is that you are being schooled by the love of your life's kid. Like, how does he? I don't know. Like, there's just so many layers there that I'm just like, I don't understand how he does not compute some stuff. But I wrote this down. Whitney all week looked like she was ready to beat Gwen and Julian's ass, and I was like, again, I was hoping that she would.
Yeah, I will say Whitney's in a tough spot this week, and we'll get there. But she's in a
Oh
tough
yeah,
spot
it's
this
gonna
week,
get
and
weirder.
I do think I probably would have handled things a little bit differently than she has handled them. But
So I need to ask a
I think she
question.
did all right.
I need to ask a clarifying question.
Sure.
Did Teresa get a sedative at some point, or is it
Yes.
okay? Because it happened so fast.
This the next. It's my next note.
Okay, go
She
for it
did.
because it confused me. I was like
So
really confused,
Teresa is undone.
grief
Okay.
stricken. Yeah.
She is undone. And she's blaming herself. She's saying the guys wouldn't have been out there if it wasn't for me. Very true. Very true. They wouldn't even be here. We wouldn't even be here if you hadn't brought your ass down to Bermuda for some harebrained, nonsensical
Stupid
fucking
ass
scheme.
plan.
We
Stupid
wouldn't
plan.
even be here. But anyway, she says the guys wouldn't even be there out there if it wasn't for me, and she's blaming herself. Understandably so. Then a doctor interrupts. And of course, I don't know why every black doctor has to be a drug pusher, but this doctor comes in, sees that she's in distress. He's like, and Whitney explains the situation to him. Like, she's upset because we just found out that, our loved ones are dead, probably. He's like, "I'll go get my bag." And he comes back, and oh well, when he's going to get his bag, Julian stops
Oh
him.
yeah,
God, Julian.
do it,
Julian
do it.
stops him and he whispers in his ear, "Is like, oh doctor, I need to ask you for something." And then so he whispers in his ear, and then the doctor pulls the bag and he's like, "Viagra."
Viagra.
He's like, "Sir, there's people who need
People are
real."
dying.
It's like that. Have you ever heard or seen the clip of the Kardashians where, and this happened way back when I was still watching the
Yeah.
Kardashians, but Kim's like crying. She's like, "I dropped
Yep.
my diamond earring came off in the ocean." And Courtney's like, "Kim, there are people dying in the world." It was very much that.
Yep. That's pretty much what it is. Yeah, he's
It was
asking for the magic blue pill.
Yeah, he's like, there's people in serious medical need, including your wife, and he walks away, and then he comes back and he gives Teresa a sedative. And I was confused about this because I thought Whitney was there, but I don't think Whitney saw the doctor come
Okay.
back to give
See,
her a
I
sedative.
think I walked away for 1 second, and when I got back, I'm like, why is Teresa? I thought maybe she was so grief stricken that she like made herself in despair. But I'm like, eventually, I'm like, no, They gave. I knew the doctor had shown up, so I was like, I think she got a sedative.
He
Uh,
gave her a sedative, and then he asks a staff member to take her to her room. It's like, why wouldn't you take her to her room first, lay her down, and then give her a sedative, doctor?
yeah,
I don't know. The order of things. I mean, he seems to
and
be as bad of a doctor as Eve is.
when
And
they went to the same school.
yeah, they went to the same medical school somewhere in like fucking, I don't know. I don't
Harm,
want to offend anybody, but
Harmony Institute of Technology.
yeah, they all went to the ITT Tech Medical School or some shit. What's the one, DeVry? One of those TV universities.
Yeah.
She got her medical degree online, did their residency online. Okay, sorry, that's rude and foolish.
But
Surely he's a real doctor.
that's yeah.
But
That's what happened. So now Teresa's all messed up.
yeah, he gives her sedative and then hands her off to a random man. And
Who
he's
knows she is Miss Julian Crane.
exactly. He's like, "Oh, this is I know who this is. I'll go ahead and take her to her room because he thinks that Julian's room is her room. He doesn't understand the situation, the nuance of the situation. Of course, he does not because he is the same person that Julian has told to like set up his room for a honeymoon and this is my wife and yada yada yada. So he takes her upstairs and like I guess puts her in the bed. She also is like barely wearing any like did he take her clothes off?
I don't
No,
understand.
it doesn't matter. Passions did it. So, she's up there and then Julian hears from that same staff member because Julian's looking for Theresa. He's like, that same staff member says, "Oh, yes, I took her up to your room." And he's like, "She wanted to go to my room." And the guy's like, "She couldn't wait." What? What? So now Julian is, and this is the show's way of trying to absolve Julian, and it's
Yeah.
bullshit. It's bullshit, and it pisses me off.
It's under the guise that Teresa willingly went into the room.
Yeah, yeah,
That's by that guy having that guy as a caveat has allowed Julian to go, oh, she wants this too. Just like we did last or those last few weeks ago, we're doing it again.
yeah. So at this is the point where the guys show back up to the hotel. So now Julian and Theresa are up in Julian's room. The guys make it back to the hotel. The doctor, again, like I said, ITT Tech Medical School, because the University of the Phoenix Medical School, because he literally checks Luis's pulse and says, "Oh, his pulse is a little weak, but he'll be fine," and leaves Luis just like shirtless, delirious in a random chair in the lobby. He's like, "I've got other patients to check. I'll come back
Yeah.
later," kind of thing. Like, I'm sure he needs like fluids. I'm sure he needs I'm sure there's
Something.
something that he needs. He's been beaten and battered.
Dehydrated,
Not only that,
electrolyte, something.
and Luis is not the only one of them who probably needs to be checked
Yeah.
out and like be taken care of because they've all been out in a storm in the open ocean.
Yeah.
I mean, in the open, not Pacific, what's this one? Atlantic Ocean. And that's where all those people died on the Titanic because you know it's cold. So I'm just saying. So he fucks off much like Grace did earlier, but no, he fucks off to see about his other patients. Even though there's like 12 people in this lobby,
Yeah.
half of which are our cast. So who are you checking on? But
Yeah.
anyway, Luis is insistent that he wants to go back out and look for Sheridan. He's like, Sheridan isn't dead. The guys are like, hey man, I don't know how she could ever survive that, you know. Gwen then comes over and she's elated to see Ethan. Elated, overjoyed to see Ethan. But all Ethan cares about is, where's Theresa? Like he sees Gwen, she like hugs him. I don't even think he acknowledges her existence.
No.
He
Yeah.
looks at her in her
He,
face
no,
and
he
says,
says something like, "What are you doing here?" And he says it in a way that's like with disdain in his voice. He's like, "What are you doing here?"
yeah. His
And
only
she's like, "I
concern
came
is
over here with my mom to see what you know." And he's like, "Okay, yeah. Have you seen Teresa?"
his only concern is finding Theresa, understandably so. Meanwhile, Theresa is up in Julian's room, passed out. I mean, this girl is out of it entirely. And Julian seems to think she's taken him up on his offer. So he goes in, he starts like undressing. He talks to her very unconscious body, which is why I can't give him a pass on this. It would be one thing if he had a misunderstanding with the bellhop and who told him like, yeah, she wanted to go up to your room. And then he got there and realized that she was just completely out of it and was like, oh,
Well, she's
something is
also like,
amiss.
her eyes are closed, making no eye contact with you. Like, do you think
She's
this
like
is
mumbling, like she's out of it, this girl. And he talks to her unconscious body. He says, I'm going to make you a very happy girl, Theresa, even without Viagra. And then he drops his pants, gets naked, and gets in the bed with Theresa. And then he calls her his exquisite little Taco Bell. Like, what are we doing?
These
And then
writers love putting in these slurs. They just love, but they man,
they
they
like
have
it a little
so
too
much.
much. They like it a
This
little
this
too
week
much.
was prime racist passions.
Rebecca said so many
So
things
many.
about
I didn't.
Teresa.
I started to write some of them down, and I'm like, there's too many. Like I have them in my notes. I'm watching them, and I'm like, this is too. Like Julian says, my little. He doesn't say tortilla. He says my torta tortilla. But like he was talking about tortas, a torta, and
Yeah.
I was like, I
I,
was like, I don't know.
they
I don't
say
know
a
what
lot of things. I think at one point
Mr.
he's like,
Jeeves,
at one point he
acid
says to her,
cheeseburger
now is
statement
not the
for
time
racist
to see.
comment.
At one point he says to her, now is not the time to siesta. It's just, there's a lot. Anyway, so he thinks that Ethan and Luis are dead. He says they're dead, so we have nothing to worry about. We never have to worry about them again. Teresa's completely out of it. And of course, she's dreaming of Ethan. She thinks that she's married Ethan. She's out of it, come out of her fucking mind. I don't know what kind of drugs this doctor gave her, but straight up, I wouldn't mind trying some. Yeah,
Yeah.
I
It
don't,
makes all your dreams come true. Like
you
it
know,
literally showing you what you're dreaming about.
I
That's
wouldn't
so
mind trying some in a safe environment, like at home. And so uh sorry, she's dreaming of Ethan, and at one point she like whispers, make love to me, because she thinks it's Ethan. She thinks it. And I wrote, who the fuck wrote this? Yuck. Like, it was so disgusting. Because, of course, this idiot, Julian, thinks she's talking to him. Then a housekeeper, he's about to like go in for the kill. And then a housekeeper interrupts Julian's rape of Teresa. And he shoos her away and puts the do not disturb sign on the door. Bruce then knocks on the door to try and tell him, hey man, the guys are still alive. But Julian's so fucking rude to him that he finally is like, you know what, fuck you. And he walks off, he leaves.
yeah.
Because he's trying to help you, but Julian's being so nasty, so rude. Get out of here. He tells him, like, you're just jealous because I have a beautiful fajita in the bed with me. Like, he's horrible. He's horrible, horrible, horrible. So he angrily hurries Bruce away. And then Julian goes back to doing his gross shit of an incapacitated Teresa. Meanwhile, in the lobby, everyone except for Julian and Teresa have come together and are wondering where Julian and Teresa could possibly be.
All week long.
Yeah, all long, the whole week, the whole week. It takes them
It's
so long.
exhausting.
It takes them so long to come to the conclusion to just go up to Julian's room and check. It takes them so long.
And even the process of going over there is so long.
And at first, like, everybody notices Teresa's not here, Julian's not here, and everybody starts to kind of put two and two together, it seems like. And then Chad's like, whoa, everybody, that doesn't make sense. Teresa, why would Teresa ever be in Julian's room? And so everyone's like, yeah, that doesn't make any sense. Gwen says, isn't it obvious? As soon as Teresa thought Ethan was a lost cause, she latched on to Julian and to get his money. And Ethan says, like, she would never do that. He's mad. Actually, he says it angrily. He's like, she would never do that. Teresa's not like that. Rebecca and Gwen continue to just like push this narrative that Teresa is cheating on Ethan with Julian specifically.
Yeah.
And that that her scheme to make Ethan a crane again fizzled out, so she decided to try and grab the millions by just being with Julian. And Louise says, maybe that's how you rich motherfuckers get down, but that's not what my sister is like. My sister would never do some bullshit like that. Money doesn't, that maybe that flies in your money means everything world, but that's not how we live and walk through
that
the
was
life,
a good
the
moment of
world.
Louise. I did
Yeah.
laugh. At some point, Rebecca says basically something along the lines of saying, like, I don't mind Julian fooling around. In fact, it's less work for me. And I
Yeah.
did appreciate, I was like, okay, that's real. I do appreciate Rebecca for that. But then she also says, she calls Teresa a gold digging chalupa. And to which Gwen says, if the sombrero fits. And I'm like, if I'm Ethan, I would have been like, you know what? I don't ever want to fucking talk to you again. Like
But
this
see,
is
let's
too
be clear.
damn much.
Ethan, here is the issue. Ethan grew up with that kind of talk.
So he might not even have it as a
He's
red
he's
flag.
almost, I think he's probably almost desensitized to it. I
Yeah.
think he understands that it's problematic, but I think he also doesn't think it's that big of a
And
deal.
for Luis, he knows it, he hears it, but he's like, it just rolls off his back. He
Yeah,
just keeps
he's rolling
going.
his eyes, right?
Yeah,
He's
he
like, these
just
are
thinks
just
they're
racist people,
stupid.
that they're
Yeah,
disgusting. I don't like
yeah.
them.
And again, I
So
will give to Ethan. Ethan says, he does say, if I were a dude, if you were a dude, I would have decked you a long time ago.
to
To Rebecca.
Rebecca, yeah.
Yeah.
Then this was one of my favorite moments actually. Rebecca sorry, Louise says Theresa loves Ethan and she would never do anything with your slime ball of a fiance, Rebecca. And Rebecca says, I assure you, if Theresa is in there with Julian, it's because she initiated the involvement. And then Gwen laughs and says, even I don't believe that. She's like, even I don't believe that. We all know how much of a lech Julian is, but she says, but I do agree that if they're in there together, like they're not reading the Bible together, like they're doing a lot more than like chatting it up.
Yeah.
And so Ethan says Theresa wouldn't let Julian touch her with a 10-foot pole.
Yeah.
Because like he's the Grinch or something. She
Yeah.
wouldn't let him touch her with a 10-foot pole unless she was drugged. So now we're pulling in the narrative that something Theresa, if these two people are together, and I am glad that the writers at least wrote this little bit in, that if these two people are together, it's not by Theresa's choice at all.
Yeah.
Julian is at fault and something disgusting is happening. So then instead of just going up to the room, Ethan's like, I'll call them. So he calls Julian's room, no answer. So he
He
finally
puts
is
a
like,
pillow over the phone, like that would work. But
he, yeah, he finally is like, let's just go up there. Let's go to the room. So,
duh.
but then nobody moves. They,
No.
they, they say they're going to go and then they don't go. It's all very annoying, but eventually they do head up. Whitney hangs back and calls Julian's room. And this time Julian answers the phone and she tries to warn him, but he hangs up on her. So she calls back a little bit later and she says, just hear me out. The guys are, Ethan and Luis are alive and they're on their way to your room
They're
with
alive.
with Rebecca. Julian starts to panic, right?
Yeah.
And then he imagines like this Frankenstein type mob going, kill the monster, kill the monster. It's stupid. It was pointless.
Yeah, I know. I don't know. What's the point of that?
But
Yeah.
he tries to wake Theresa up. He's like, shaking her, slapping her face a little bit, trying to wake her up, which, uh, I'm sorry, there's just no getting around Julian being a rapist. He
Yeah,
knows she's
because
asleep.
yeah,
He
because
knows she is.
he says it's no time for a siesta. Come on, she should have been awake. Any normal person would have been awake by now with what
And
you've
then,
done and dragged her around and moved her around and tossed her around to get her to
yeah.
get awake.
Okay, Passions does to me one of the nastiest things. Like, be outside of the actual him taking advantage of Theresa, the visual gag of him carrying her limp body and just like dragging her limp body around this room, trying to stuff her into different spaces to
Into
try
like
and
a
hide her.
wardrobe or an armoire, like literally just throwing her around. It
It
was
was I was
bad.
honestly truly disturbed because it was supposed to be funny and it wasn't funny to me. It was really
Yeah.
disgusting because all every bit of Teresa's autonomy has been stripped from her. Every little bit that she had has been taken from her. And I also like I'm also watching it through the lens of this girl is 18 years old. This is a child. This is a child. He's carrying her limp body and it's supposed to be funny. I can't laugh at it. I was so
Oh no.
disgusted.
But,
And honestly,
but they do it on layers too because Teresa's kind of got that like Sleepy, tired. Like they made it on layers to make it like you said, like to try and make it wee, how funny. He's in a pickle. He's gonna get his ass beat
Yeah.
if he's not careful.
I personally was disgusted. And I will say part of the reason had such a hard time, and we're like speeding through this as much as we are, is because we already did this. Frankly,
Mhm.
we already did this, and
I'm like, why are we doing it again?
why are we doing it again? I
She's
could
already
not.
married to Julian. She's already married to Julian. Like, why are we doing it again? It's to it's to just milk this storyline of like, is Ethan dead? Is Luis dead? Let's see if we can get them caught in bed together again. And it's like we already did this
Yeah, we've already
exact
done
same
this.
thing.
And it's
Because
disgusting, and I can't. It's hard to me. It's hard to watch. I just am so uncomfortable with it, and I already did it like for 4 weeks, and now we're doing it again. And I was like, I already did this. I don't want to do this again. Like, why? Who's got such a hard on for this fucking plot point? I hate this. Anyway, um, the group gets to the door and they start banging on the door, but Julian, of course, doesn't answer. Tries to call security, but security's like, "We're busy because there was a hurricane that hit the island, and like there are more pressing matters." And so Julian, I'm sorry, Luis and Ethan then decide, why don't we just break down the door? Except Luis's room is right next door, and we already know the balconies connect. So why wouldn't you just go through the balcony? No, we can't do that. Luis grabs a fucking axe. He grabs an axe from like the fire like thing, and he pulls the axe. And he's like, I got a better idea, and he starts doing his here's Johnny moment. He's like
yeah,
chopping at the door.
it's annoying. It's so dumb. But I did write down that's White Star Line property.
Very much they were given The Shining, right? Like they're
Yeah,
trying to like do his whole here's Johnny, and he gets through and he's like, the where are you, Julian? And like they get through and then they get inside. Nobody's in there. They can't find them. And then they see the balcony is like closed and it's locked. So they're trying to go out there, but they can't get out there at first. And then Luis, of course, vandalizes yet another door and breaks it and opens the door. They go out on the balcony and again they don't find Theresa and Julian. But then they decide like, okay, they couldn't have gone far. Like obviously the balconies are connected. Like you go that way, we'll go this way. So they all spread out to go and look at different rooms within the hotel instead of searching the balcony.
yeah,
Instead of searching the balconies. So then Julian and Theresa reappear on the balcony. Were they?
yeah.
How did they escape being found? And he's like holding her. I don't know. It's a lot. Then he lays her down in a different room and they bang on that door and she hears Ethan calling to her and she calls back out to him and like Ethan, and that's when Julian like jumps on the bed and puts his hand over her mouth and like that's the end of this week. It
Yeah.
was all very gross.
Yeah, and then I mean, I will just say that only at one. Rebecca keeps threatening to kill both Teresa and Julian, but she said if she caught them together, little Julian is going to be out of commission for a long time. Uh,
Yeah.
and she extends her finger and then makes it unerect. So I thought that was just again in the crude humor, but it did make me laugh. It was funny.
Yeah, and if y'all want to watch Julian's whole like, cause he does a lot of talking to Teresa's unconscious body, and he says a lot of stuff about how Rebecca will just have to understand, and then he talks about how he'll enjoy his young wife for 20 years or so, and then he'll probably have to trade her
Straight
in
up
for a
for a
younger
new
model.
model. Yeah,
He's just a
it's yeah,
despicable,
but it's
disgusting
yeah.
person.
It
Yeah.
it again it just reminds me like I'm like man I did not as a young kid watching this it's just and I do blame the direction as well. It's like it makes it they were going the humorous route with this as opposed to portraying for what it really is.
And
Both.
at first, first it was very sinister, like when he was talking to her very unconscious body. The music was very dark, and
But
also y'all need to know like the room has been transformed. Like there's candles
yeah,
everywhere, there's rose petals. It's supposed to be like this very romantic setting. So they when he was like talking to her unconscious body, I do think they tried to make it seem a little bit more sinister. But the minute they started knocking on that door and he's like dragging her around,
like
it
waka
became,
waka.
yeah, it became like jokes, and it's still very serious to me, but whatever. I didn't write this show. I didn't do this. So anyway, everybody, that's it for the episode. We did it. We did it again. Thank you, Eric. Remember, if
Of
you want to follow
course.
Eric, where can they follow you?
Oh, I'm Mr. Eric Vid on everything, so just follow me there, and I talk about pop culture-y stuff, so I'm always having fun doing that. And then it's always a pleasure to hang out with you and talk passions.
Yes, and remember that you can check the link in the description. It goes to a link tree. I did recently learn that in the link tree, the email's not in there. I'm gonna fix that today. I forgot about it. The email's not, because somebody asked me, it's like, nobody's been sending in emails. I was like, yeah, nobody ever sends me emails anymore. And people used to email me all the time. But I realized that the email's not on the link tree. So the
Oh,
email is passionspodcast@gmail.com. If you want to send an email, discuss something on the show, we might read it on the post show. If we got to, the episodes have been getting longer because there's more to get through. I think because the longer we watch this show, the more history we have. And so
yes,
there's
yeah,
more things to talk about because we're like, oh, well, this is where we are. But remember when? And like these two
yeah.
things contradict each other. So the shows are starting to get a little bit longer. So it might be tough to read it on the show, but you might get it onto a post show. You'll probably definitely get it onto a post show. So, that's it for today. Thank you all for listening. Remember, you are my passion for life. Heart. All right.